Welcome back guys to another video from Editors League. In this video basically we're gonna cover 3D camera editing style. So the 3D camera editing style has been going viral for the last 6 to 8 months on Instagram, on short form to be specific, where you've seen all of these guys, Houston Cold, Bart VFX, and can't even name more people, but there's a lot of people that do this 3D camera style and you'll see a lot of movements. Now, when we come to 3D camera style, there is a couple of parts of it. First thing is obviously the 3D camera movement, which is what we're gonna cover in this video. And then we have the effects, basically the built-in effects that all of these guys use in After Effects. And then we have some things like design and etc. So now I have After Effects open, and the first thing that we want to do is literally just make our composition. Now when you make your composition in 3D, or sorry, in short form, then obviously it's gonna be the opposite of the normal screen. So it's gonna be 1080 by 1920. Okay, usually it's like this, and then the frame rates just go for 25 for FPS and click OK. So now once you click OK, this is what you have. Usually what I do is I like to always have my short form video on the side over here. So what this will do is that it will give me more margin or more space to look at instead of having it over here. And then I'm just gonna adjust all of this to be better. Even this, I'll just undock it, pull it up over here, undock this, pull it up over here. So now it's all like integrated very well, and I will even have more place for my timeline. So yeah, this is what I have, and our composition is over here. Now, how to use 3D cameras. Alright guys, how to use 3D camera. First thing, get Motion Tools 4, because I don't want to go over making nulls over and over and over again for you guys. But anyways, first thing that you have to do is go right click and create a camera. Over here, you can use one node or two node. I'll just go for one node and the preset is 50 mm. Alright, and click OK. And now, basically, our camera is... Now the only problem with this is that when I try to go to two views, it doesn't show. But yeah, our camera, as you guys can see, is over here. I'm viewing it in a custom view, but oh shit, I don't think this is showing. Okay, look at this. Now I have two views on my camera. Alright, and you can see this second view. I will explain more about that, but there's something that's very important, which is two views. Okay, so now I'll just make it one view, and then later on I'll explain to you guys two views, especially when we're making something. But okay, now let's say if I'm just gonna put my text. Okay, I'm gonna have a text that says hello. Doesn't really matter what it is. Alright, and the first thing that you need when you have camera on is that camera won't make a difference if your layers are not 3D. So I have to make this 3D. And now if I move my camera, this will move. So now, yeah, you guys can see basically it's moving. It's moving because we have 3D on the layer. Now, okay, this is not the only part. Initially, what we want to do is we want to go to create and, sorry, we want to go to camera and create something called an orbit null. Now, an orbit null basically helps us rotate the camera or rotate the scene from the front part, which is why we make orbit nulls. And then what I do is I connect more nulls, okay? And I'll tell you guys why. So I'll go over here and I connect 3 more nulls, for example. And initially, if you guys want to do this on your own, basically, like you want to do this in a manual way, then you go create a null over here and then you parent it, okay? So I just save time and I click here. So it automatically parents, then automatically parents, and then automatically parents. So all of these nulls right now are basically over here. Why? So we can do multiple movements, and this is what we need. We need a lot of nulls when it comes to camera movement, especially the fast camera movement. We need a lot of nulls because there is multiple movements happening at the same time, and we're gonna be covering that in the next tutorial where I do remakes and stuff. But right now, just understand that you need to do multiple nulls, okay? You can even do up to 5 nulls, it doesn't matter. Even if you want to do 15 nulls, you can. But I do a good start with 3. Now imagine I want to do a certain movement. So let's say I want to do a certain movement. I will start from null number 1, for example. And I'll do from 0 second over here. No, I'll do a zoom in, for example. Let's say I'll do a zoom in, okay? Let's say I'll do a zoom in, zoom out like this. And then I want it to rotate. I want it to rotate basically. Now I can go to my orbit null. This is why we created an orbit null. I can just go to my orbit null, and let's say I want it to rotate to be like this, okay? Like the whole scene to rotate like this. And then at the same time, I do a position by basically moving this, let's say, like this. So now you'll know why we're kind of doing this. So basically, it's gonna zoom out first, and then, oops, and then it's gonna kind of go, all right, I know what's happening. Okay, and then it's gonna rotate, all right? And while it rotates, we need another null, which will basically be the position controller to basically be a movement to the left side like this. Okay, so now we start graphing. So first thing, the graph that I use, for example, is this one. So it will zoom out very smoothly. And now you can see the movement will start happening, but it's really slow. Like things will be very slow. Let me graph all of these up as well by doing F9 and doing a graph, basically. Now look, why we introduce multiple nulls, you can see how slow things are. And this is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. So why is this slow? Because they are not overlapping. First, we're waiting for this movement to happen and the next movement. So basically, I can just move these keyframes to start earlier. So the movement can start earlier. This happens, and then, you know, I'll pay generally. So this happens, and then let's say we want to do a zoom in, okay, to be on like this side. So look, basically this will happen, and then we will zoom in. I know it's a bit weird. It doesn't have to make too much sense, guys. Don't worry. Like right now, we're just doing random shit because we don't have anything to animate like in a proper way. We're just doing random shit. But yeah, these are the two graphs that I use. First thing is the middle graph, okay, this one, and the second one is like the front graph that we did over here. So look, for example, we have a zoom out, and now our movement starts going. And for example, when this happens, okay, I can do a text that says hi, for example, to pop up. Now I'll do 3D with this and bring it on over here in the middle by doing Ctrl+Home. This is a very important trick. This basically brings the layer back to its default position of our view, not default position of the whole composition. So now, for example, if I rotate this, I need to rotate it 90, for example, and zoom it in. So look, you see what's happening? The hello text comes up, and then we're going here. So this is what camera 3D is. This is what they all do. This is literally what they all do. So hi will come up basically, and obviously hi will not come up randomly. I'll like maybe do an opacity. This doesn't have to make too much sense. What I'm just trying to do is explain to you. And now let's say I want to make another movement that takes us to the left side, like this, something like this basically. Over here maybe, here on the left side. I said left and I did right by mistake. And obviously I have saved graphs, as you guys can see from motion 3. So this is the middle graph, okay, in case you guys want to make it, you can. So look, we have a zoom out, and then it goes like this, and then it goes here. And we can have this whole thing just be a lot faster instead of having it this slow. You guys get me? So I can like just overlap things on a very harsh basis. So it goes boom, boom, and then over here I introduce another text. I say camera movement, for example. I'll just say camera movement, and let me just add the shit to the middle. Now if I do 3D, look again, it just went in the middle of the composition. And I'll tell you what that means. If I turn off camera, look, this came up over here. And what we need to do is we need to bring it to our middle of our movement. So one way is like this, basically. But if you do Ctrl+Home, it brings it to the middle of our scene with default position. So look, hello, hi, and then this. You see? So this is why I kind of like the Ctrl+Home thingy. So basically, boom. I know it doesn't make too much sense, and it doesn't really need to make that much sense in terms of it making sense. It's just for the fact of like, yeah, we have a camera movement, you know? So yeah, I can best definitely decrease the position here. So yeah, something very random. Doesn't make too much sense, but yeah. So now you guys saw why we use multiple nulls. Imagine you want to do all of this in one layer. What would have happened? You cannot do multiple movements in one layer, which is why we have nulls. So that is basically just an explanation for camera and for you guys to understand how cameras work. This doesn't have to make too much sense as of now. It's fine. Basically, in the next video, we want to go and we want to do remix from these editors and turn out with something. So yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Yo, what is up guys? In this video, we're basically going to be doing the Ummer visuals editing style. or Amr visuals editing style. Basically, it's an Arabic name, so I'm just saying it in Arabic pronunciation and English pronunciation. But anyways, if you guys want to preview it real quick, we have it over here. So what I'm gonna do is create a composition real quick. I'll just import the video and let me just fit it. And what we're gonna do is this camera movement. Now obviously the text part and all of this is simple, but okay, what we're gonna do is the starting part. Now why do I like this? Because you learn a lot from it, as well as at the same time it's not that complex. So in this video basically we're just gonna be doing this simple animation, and I'm gonna cover also the text part and stuff of that sort, but that's gonna be in the end. That's not something too much to worry about, yeah. But initially what I want is a frozen frame from this guy. However, there doesn't seem to be a frozen frame, so what I will do is pretty much not have a frozen frame from him. Okay, let's say we don't need it. All right, so in this video basically we're going to be covering, you know, the kind of the design part and stuff of that sort, and then in the next video, which is going to be a shorter version, we're just going to be doing some parts of the effects, if it is even needed. But yeah, I think we'll be able to cover everything over here in the same video. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. So as you guys can see, how I made my timeline was the same way. It's just this composition settings, and I'll have my animation on like 6 seconds. It's barely 6 seconds, the animation. So yeah, with that being said, I think what we'll do is just import the first asset that we need, which was Cristiano Ronaldo image, and that's image number 2. And pretty much what we want to do is we want to, I don't know, just kind of scale this down, adjust it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be that. The purpose is not to remake it, guys. It's not to remake it exactly like how he has it or some shit like that. The purpose is that we are able to get to the output that we want. All right, what I'm gonna do is just create a little background that is gonna be like the reference for whatever solid it is. So what I'm gonna do is have like, basically imagine the solid is gonna be a person, or I can actually just import a frame from like one of my frames. Yeah, I just froze the frame, as you guys can see. Very random, doesn't have to mean anything. And initially we're just gonna start with the camera animation right away. So just make your camera as we covered in the last video, and we can start with our movement. So the first thing I told you guys already is going over here, camera, create an orbit null, and connect 3 more cameras to it. So now we have, these are all camera components, okay? And we're gonna make everything 3D. And basically his animation, let's say, starts at here, okay? So the first thing that I'm gonna do is just start animating. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually start animating from the camera, because I wanna test out something real quick. But don't worry, we can even, by the way, animate cameras. It's not like we don't have to necessarily only animate the nulls. We can even animate the camera or start the movement with the camera. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is let's say I will drag this a bit backwards. Now I'll take this around somewhere over here, and then I'm gonna have a solid that will pop up. And this solid, let's say it's gonna pop up here. All right, so it's gonna be a cut. And for now, I'll just do an opacity, because I want to cover the camera and stuff like that first before I cover like, you know, the ink and the effects and all of that shit. Because the camera is the most important part. Like if you know how to use camera properly, then you're good. Now let's start our animation. Let's say over here. Where is the Cristiano Ronaldo images? These will also pop up around, same as the camera, but I flipped it. It's supposed to, yeah, like this. Okay, cool. So I just took the black solid down. Okay, let's say this is how it's gonna look. And basically what I want to do is do a bit of a zoom in. All right, considering these elements will be actually a bit zoomed in, a bit scaled up, I mean. So let's scale it up a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna have a bit of a more zoom in, and with the zoom in there's gonna be like this. So this is how it's gonna go, if you guys can see. Okay, so I don't want to do it with the camera actually. Let's just do it with an orbit null instead. So I go to orbit null position, go to orbit null rotation, start over here, get over here, and do a little bit of a zoom in, as I said already. And then pretty much we want to do a rotation. It's gonna look like this almost. So look, and then from a zoom out, obviously. And this will not have 3D, our layer will not have 3D. So this is how it's gonna come up. Obviously looks mad weird. All right, don't worry about it. And the first thing that we gotta do is, you see this Cristiano image, we're gonna add a bit of downward rotation to it like this. Okay, now obviously this kind of mess it up. Now the second image, I will take it like to be rotated like this way, just like how he has it. As you guys can see, I'm just rotating it. And now look, this is why two views help, right? Now I'm in two views. Basically what I want to do is I'm gonna go to my camera and I want this layer to go behind so this doesn't happen. So basically we can just push this backwards like this, or you can just go to position over here and do this, so you guys can see. And I will just basically extend it out. Now obviously this is kind of small in terms of like the image itself, so I'll just duplicate it. Don't worry too much. I'll just duplicate it and I'll position it down. Why? Because I want it to look like it's an extension. I want it to look like it's a continuation of these images. Now that doesn't look too bad. It is kind of noticeable, but it's not too bad at all. Now the graphs that he used, if I go F9 and I do this, now look, you see, we have like a very nice starting movement. It's not something too complex or whatever, it's simple. I can extend that out. But yeah, this is how it looks basically. Boom. I think we can extend this out a little bit more, so it looks like this. Cool. Nice. This one can be moved a little bit to the left. You see, I'll just go position and move this to the left like this. You can scale it down and do stuff like that. But yeah, I just chose a random image, Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever. It doesn't make too much sense, but it is still something, you know. And then I'll just decrease the opacity for this Cristiano Ronaldo image, because basically he has the background also showing. This is how it looks for him. I mean, so yeah, we have this simple starting animation, okay? And now I'll bring up some text. The first text will say your, okay? And I'll go for a similar font, which is gonna be Babus New Bold. This is the font. It's similar font. It's not the exact same font, honestly. Is this shit over here. And look, now if I enable 3D, things will kind of change, and we gotta basically just take it back before, like how it would without 3D. So this, yeah, your, and then duplicate, right up Instagram, scale it down, move it, rotate it a little bit for the narrative basically, and then pretty much duplicate and make a text that says page to turn this back to normal and make it bigger, and this like this. Cool, not bad. So now guys, look cool. Now the first thing I will do is basically just take this page text a bit higher, a bit more in front. All right, so over here basically we get to this part, right? And we want to start another part up, so it zooms in like this, and then we want to do a zoom out, and this zoom out, it will be done through another null layer. So we're gonna go to the end of this null layer and just place keyframes. So just gonna do it through orientation. I mean, you can do it through anything, but anyways, I'll do this, hold P, hold shift, and then do P. And initially what I will do is I'll pull back these keyframes, and let's say I want my scene to end like this. Okay, so we're gonna zoom out a lot, and then with the zoom out we're gonna do like a sort of a rotation, which is gonna make it look like this. All right, now I do know this looks a bit weird, don't worry too much, but see, basically first thing we have the scene, it starts up like this, and then we do a zoom out. And what I'll do is I'll extend this even further, and just so it's more back. It may feel like it's starting from now, and that is because there is no graph. Okay, so what I will do is I'll extend this out a little bit. We just need to extend this out. And then the other keyframes are not necessary. Now I'll do F9, okay? I do F9, and the graph that I will do is like a middle graph. So I'll take this to 75, whatever, and I'll take this to 75 as well. Now let's have a look. Basically, the middle part will come in between the last keyframe. So this comes up, and then the zoom out happens. You guys see? It's really unique, and it's not hard at all. Like, people overcomplicate this and to do with transform layers and all of this, and I just did it in 2 seconds with the camera right now. And the camera movement is pretty much done. Like, it's not even the camera movement anymore. It's just a couple of effects. So first thing over here, we're gonna, for example, do an opacity reveal. All right, gonna do an opacity reveal, so it comes up, the your text comes up, and what I'm gonna do is do a reveal for the text Instagram. All right, so for this, very simple, just go over here, position, range selector, take this down, for example, take this down a little bit. And the way range selector works is with this. All right, so the position that you put down will not be the default position, it will be the new position that it will start from. And then once we adjust the start, it will become, you see. So basically I will just keyframe the start from here to somewhere over here, so it becomes 100. And then it's gonna start also, I'm gonna do add, and I'll make it opacity 0. So look at the way it starts, it comes one by one. All right, not that hard. And with it, I'll do a position. So we have this, I'll click U, and then I'll hold shift and do P. Take this P, like the default position, take it like that. And I will basically make our Instagram text start from the right side. You see what we want to do? Basically like this. See? So it looks like it's starting in the middle. Very simple. Very easy and very simple. And we can do a graph, which is going to be the starting graph. Basically, this graph is like this. All right, F9, and then perfect. That's really easy. Now we did the Instagram text. Very easy. And we want to do an opacity reveal for the word page. By the way, the effects and everything we're going to be adjusting. Don't worry. It's very easy. So now the page comes up. And over here, obviously, we need new elements. So first thing I'm going to have is, for example, let's say we have 2 places, all right? First thing is our final place, our final destination, which is going to be at the end of the keyframe, for example. And then over here, we want to do a couple of text. So first thing, I'm basically just going to write, do they think? By the way, all of this happens intuitively, but we're going sequentially. Why? Because basically we are copying, you know, we're doing a remake. So I'm going to have this text. Now look, this trick is very important, guys. First thing, I'm just going to adjust the sizes and everything that I want. So let's say I'm going to have the scale up to be this much. Or I'm going to do it from here. So scale up to be this much and adjust the size. And now I'm going to do camera. Now see what happens. It took us to our normal position, which was in the composition itself, which is over there. Now if I do Ctrl+Home, first thing it takes the anchor point in the middle and then Ctrl+Home. Now you see what happened. Our text is in the middle of our layer. So see what happens. Look, you see what happens. Why? Because they adjusted the text position normally to be in the middle of our view. And if I go to 2 views and I do a certain view, look at what's happening. First thing, we have your Instagram page, and then we have when the camera moves backwards, basically I can even move this. All right, I can move the second view. See what's happening? We have this text which is in front of them all. So why does this pop out later? Because when we're doing a zoom out, this pops out later, like it's in front. It's in front of all of them. Just look at this. This is first, and then this is second, and then this is third. Now this one, I messed up the position. This is not supposed to be back. All right. So what I will do is I will just adjust it. And how? Just look at this in 2 views. Go over here on this one. Press P and move it so that it is like this. Nice. Now it's in the exact same position. So I'll go back to 1 view and let's view again. Now let's view what we have. Look at what we have. Boom. What do they think about you? Now obviously this one is automatically rotated because our whole scene is rotated. So what I will do is adjust the rotation by just doing this, and then yeah, I'm just adjusting the rotation like slightly so it looks straight. Okay, and then add a bit of rotation like this. Cool. Now I have this text. What I want to do is I want to add a bit of in-depth movement to it all. So okay, let me just adjust the position for this to be a bit lower. Okay, move it a bit much like this. I have a bit of rotation. Okay, not too much. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look. Now in his case, what he did, for example, is over here somewhere around in the middle before this what do they think about you text comes up, so you can see like almost in the middle. We want to basically just duplicate the text. What do they think about you? I'm just gonna duplicate it, and now I'm gonna do Ctrl+Alt+Home. So now this is gonna be the middle of my scene like this. All right, no, actually that's too much. Hold on. Basically I just want to adjust this in a way but it's a bit backward, and now I take it above like this, and I will write what. I will write what, and I'll make it a bit bigger and adjust the size. So look, oops, actually that is a bit too far. But look, this is behind, so this will come up first, and then the second one will come up. You guys see what I've done here? That is the beauty. And initially, I wanna make like a cross across the screen, just like how he did. He had a cross. Okay, now for the cross, very simple. I'll just go my shape layer, do this. All right, increase the stroke so that it's as much as he had. And then I will duplicate this and rotate this like this. And now we have a complete cross. Now for this cross, I will link it to another null layer. All right, because we can control both of them with one. Now make all of this 3D. Once I make all of this 3D, I'll do Ctrl+Home and then Ctrl+Home. Now we have it in the middle. And now is why again we need to revert the rotation. This is how it works. We need to revert all the rotation. So copy. I'll just copy how we reverted it for this text. Do they think about it? Because they're in the exact same place. You get me? So I will just copy the rotation so that it reverts in the exact same way. So now this is reverted. So see, now the cross is on the exact same. And I will just take this a bit backward. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. If I go to 2 views, guys, look. If I go to 2 views and I view it, okay, and I view it, you guys don't need to do this, by the way. I'm just showing you guys an example. Now look, the cross is in the almost the exact same layer. So what I want to do is I want to take it a bit backward. First thing, I'll take the first cross, make it a bit backward of the do they think about you text, this one, okay, and then the second cross, which is this one, all right, I'll make it go behind the what text. So I'll do position and take this behind. So now look, but not too behind, just in a way where it's a little bit behind. So yeah. And now if I go to one view, obviously this messes up how our cross looks, but I will just scale it up. And look, it looks like they're on the same layer, but realistically they're not. So first thing, this comes up, the cross over here comes up, and then the second cross comes up. So everything is queued up. And this is the thing about camera. Like a lot of you won't get how things are going on, but you will only get until you understand the depthness of camera and how cameras work, which is why I'm trying to explain it. And then there's also going to be another camera mastery module where I will break it down even more and exactly how cameras work and everything about it. But over here, I hope you guys are able to follow what I'm doing. So now I'll have over here, I'll do a trim path on the line. So a trim path is an effect, which is a line revealer. So I'll do an effect called trim path on the line. Go over here, trim path, keyframe from 100. 100 is the default and I'll take it 0. I'll do a graph that we always do. Now you guys already know it. It's the front graph. So you can see how this comes up later. Like once we are zooming out, first things first, this shouldn't be visible here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them cut out. Like these shouldn't be visible here. These whole parts on not Instagram page. I'll pull these. So these shouldn't be visible. So what should we do? We should do like in a revealing manner. Basically, we should have them come up in a revealing way instead of, them just coming up. So if I think I can pull both of these frontwards and pull this one, the what text, a bit higher. So look, now it is already just not gonna suddenly reveal though. What I will do is, you guys saw the effect that we did on the Instagram text. I will just copy that animator and I'll paste it onto my what text. All right, but I'll make it slower. I'll make it slower and I'll add another thing which is called ramp up. So I'll go to advanced and make the shape ramp up. And then I'm gonna remove the start keyframe and do it with offset, because when you do ramp up, you can only do offset. So -100. All right, you're gonna know. I'm gonna break this down. Don't get too stressed. But see now, I'll just do 100. And then I'll go to ease low and make it 100. So basically, this is gonna come up like this. Boom. Look, it feels like it's cutting out. And I hate that. Like, I don't like how that's looking, So I'll go to my animator and I'll flip like the position side or whatever. I'll make it go from above, come up from above instead. So now look, the what text just doesn't come up so suddenly. It's like there is a reveal. As for the line still comes up suddenly because I did not sync the animation of the trim path. So the line, just sync the animation to be a bit more delayed. So now you can see this comes up, the line starts trim pathing, and then the second line comes up almost over here, and then do they think about you text comes up. As for the do they think about you text, I want to break down to you guys how animators work, okay? Just let's take this moment to see how animators work. So I will basically just have my camera on over here, and I put focus mode on do they think about you text. First thing, go to text animators. All right, over here, animate to position, for example. Now, look, if I take this down, for example, like this, what adjusts it is the range selector. The range selector is what will take it up, the start. You see, if I mess with the finish, it will happen oppositely. Okay, so imagine if we want to do this word by word instead of letter by letter. Just look at it, it's happening letter by letter. So I can do, for example, over here based on words. And now it's word by word. But focus on what's happening here, boys. Look, it's going word and then word. So it's queuing up. And I don't want them to queue up. I want the second one to start before the first one to even finish. So that happens when we do ramp up. So look at ramp up now. If I adjust, it's like they're not waiting for each other to queue. And then if I do ease low, for example, I can adjust how much the queuing is. So if I do ease low 100, okay, so they don't wait for each other at all. They already start, like shit already starts happening. See? But see now, because I did ease low 100, even if I take the start to 0, it doesn't take it to 0. So now I have to do it from offset. So I have to adjust it from offset. So minus 100 offset to plus 100 offset. You see, this is the animation that I want to do. Okay, so I will just keyframe the offset from here, for example, till over here, so that it becomes 100. Now, obviously, our position will look the old position will look really weird if it's just over here, like it stayed by itself. You get me? So initially, what I want to do is I want to add opacity. So if I add the property opacity and I make the opacity 0, now see what's happening? They're queued up and it looks really nice. If I want to slow this down a little bit, I can go ease high and minus this. So the way ease high and ease low works, basically imagine ease low is the right pointer. Imagine you have a graph, okay? Imagine you have a graph like this. Ease low is the right pointer. So ease low, basically I'm making this 100, and then ease high is the left pointer. So I'm making this 33 or minus 33, even more backward. So yeah, basically this is how the graph almost looks like. You get me? This is how ease low and ease high work. I hope you guys understand. But look at it now. Smooth. It looks smooth. And I can, if I make this 3D, we'll have this exact 33, we'll have this exact same graph. And I can extend this out a little bit. But yeah, now let's view it like this. What do they think about you? Now, obviously this is too slow. This what do they think about your text is too slow, and I would want that to start from before and finish even earlier. Just so things are happening at the queue. So yeah, look. First thing, this comes up, your Instagram page, and now what do they think about you? Now, obviously, we have this shitty ass scene, like it looks shit to me right now. But when we add the effects, which is what makes all the difference. The effects is what makes all the difference, boys. The effects is the whole part of this. And the big part of this is the overlays that we add, is the animations that we add, the effects that we add, things that we add on the text and whatever. But yeah, this was basically the camera movement of this scene. And in the next video, I'm gonna show you guys what are effects and overlays and stuff we can add to enhance this whole scene and make it look way better with shakes and whatever all these guys do. Like they spam a bunch of shakes and stuff. But initially, scenes look shit like this. Really, they just look shit like this. And then they improve on it. They make the scene look better and better. In terms of animation, if we compare this side by side, guys, okay, look at this on the left side and look at this on the right side, for example. Basically, in terms of animation, it is really close. It is almost the same exact thing. Look, almost the same exact thing. Like the animation, I did it exactly. And this is what you guys gotta learn from me, is how to do the animations. And now I'm gonna try and copy the effects, but obviously I would like to add my own tweaks because I feel like I'm initially better than all these guys and I can do something that's way better in terms of animation and whatever, and in terms of effects as well, because I have a lot of experience with effects. But anyways, I think we can get started with the next video, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we have the effects done. Welcome guys to a new video from Editors League. In this video, basically what we're gonna do is we're going to be adding effects to the final animation. And how? By adjusting our current scene. Now this is a continuation from the last scene, so in case you're here and you're looking at effects, basically you won't be able to follow me, but you'll only be able to just see what effects and stuff that I put out, unless you go to the final project files and remove the effects and stuff like that, but initially this is a continuation from the last video. In case you guys only want to learn how to do effects, then okay, and then this video is for you. But anyways, with that being said, this is how our scene looked. Let me show you guys a little preview. So we had this Cristiano Ronaldo Instagram page, and then this come up. Now this looks very mediocre. It's just the camera movement that we were trying to follow. How can we make this scene look way better? And how can we add things that are just going to fine tune everything in this animation? Now look, for this, I don't want to copy what they did. I want to like add my own twists. I want to see what are the things that I can add from my own side to improve it, rather than just copy what they did, to be honest. But anyways, with that being said, I think we're ready to dive into the final tweakings and all of that we can do. All right. So initially, the first thing I'm going to do is just pre-compose this whole thing. All right. Pre-compose this whole thing and make a cut over here, and then go on the inside, because I want to adjust things on the inside, not on the outside. And I'll just remove this black solid, whatever it is. And I will remove this opacity as well. I'll just make it pop up like suddenly. All right. So our scene basically starts from here. All right. It starts from here. Cool. Now we have this. Amazing. Now, what are the things that we can do to enhance this whole project? Not hard at all. The first thing that I have in mind is obviously the background looks a bit bugged. And the background looks bugged, boys, because I took a screenshot that is really small. So I think if I just add motion tile and I make it a height, for example, 300. So what motion tile will do, it will mirror the whole thing. And then I will just move this upwards. I move this upwards in this way, basically, then it should work. But I don't want it to look weird in terms of the display. But okay. Let's just ignore the fact that it has a motion tile and it is in this way. Let's just ignore that fact. Let's act like actually it has been a whole page screenshot, because that's what he did. All right. So I have this motion tile, and I will just do something, which is try to hide the upper part. So if we take the mask tool and we do this, it will not work. Unfortunately, it will not work, because that's not how masks work with effects. So we have to do it from above. We have to basically just find a cheat code. So I know a method is that I will duplicate this image and I will remove the motion tile. All right. And then I will add a fill to the image that will be black, for example. Okay. That will be black. And then I will add this, let's say above over here. And now I'll do something called track matte. So once I do track matte, it will only show the part that has it. So you guys can see it's like it's hidden, because it's synced exactly, but it's just track matted. So if you guys want to extend your image out, then you can. This is just for the sake of tweaking, and even below it looks a bit weird. But anyways, let's just ignore that. Don't worry too much about it, guys. It's okay. It is okay. Now the first thing that I want to do is I want to, let's say, make this scene actually look like it's in the background, rather than having it look like it's, I don't know, too much in front of our face. You get me? So what I'm gonna do is decrease the opacity, and then I will add Gaussian blur, and I will add blur to it, and make sure you have repeat edge pixels on. I will add blur to it, and then I will duplicate this, the layer behind it. No, actually don't duplicate this, sorry. So yeah, we have the Gaussian blur, so this looks like it's in the background rather than having it so much look like it's in the front of our eyes, which is really annoying. So now that looks already makes things look 10x better, okay? Because we're just focusing on this. So your Instagram text. First thing, I feel like I can add a preset, which is called, basically it has a curve and an add grain effect. So without the preset, this is how it looks, you can see. And with it, so it just adds a bit more finer details. So the curves is to give it more contrast, all right? And this is done at a smaller scale. I mean, doesn't need to be that much. And then add grain is just for a little bit of a grain. It depends on the style that we're going for, but you're not gonna add grain on every single animation. But initially, this is how your curves should look, and this is how your add grain settings should be. All right, so now this adds finer details to it, and I want to add a bit of a wiggle that is almost unnoticeable, and I think it's gonna look really nice. So I'll take and I'll take Instagram text and Instagram this page text, and I will link it to the image number 1. And now I'll add a wiggle on this image. And which wiggle? It's gonna be this Z rotation. So go over here, go to Z rotation. First thing, add push rise time on the image, on the Z rotation, make it 4. And then it's gonna basically add a bit of a shaky effect, because I like the shaky, papery look. I want to see how it looks in this type of vibe. I think it might look amazing. So wiggle, and I'll make the frequency, let's say 1. All right, so it's just gonna, every 1 second it's gonna wiggle once basically, or it divides like by the time length we have. And then amplitude is how much is it gonna rotate. The rotation should be very seamless, almost unnoticeable. So I'm gonna make it 3. And now look at this. You guys see there is a very bit just wiggly type of effect, which creates a bit of movement. I think what I can do is, because we're going for something that is smooth, I'll just make it 18 FPS, and I will increase the wiggle to be frequency to be 2. So it's basically just in this way. I think we should make the wiggle maybe frequency even 4. Okay, now that's too much. 2.5 might be good. So yeah, I'm just adjusting with the settings. I don't even know like what will look good necessarily. I think 5, and then we go maybe over here 1.5. Maybe that would look good. But you guys can see it is almost gonna be seamless, and in the background that doesn't look bad at all. I will just remove the push rise time. I feel like it's unnecessary because we're not going for Ari Abtal shaky style. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So this is how it comes up. The text, we can add a bunch of text effects to make this text look good. All right, now that we have this add grain on the text, we're gonna do a very simple effect. All right, let's do basically something in the same theme as them. So I can add, for example, gradient ramp. All right, gradient ramp, very nice effect. I like it. And pretty much, for example, what we can do is add in this effect, make the white part above, and make the black part here, just so it feels like it's blending in. And then for this part, we just go for something that is for the bluish vibe, whatever. And in the part that is below, we do black. I think we should flip it. Yeah, this one is gonna be here, and this one is gonna be here. All right, and this is too dark, so cool. Now I'm gonna add like an effect called, for example, CC light sweep. All right, CC light sweep. Over here, you can see CC light sweep will add this nice sweep effect. So on CC light sweep, what I can do is extend it out a little bit and have the edge intensity this much. And yeah, basically this will add like a nice effect, which is over here. And what we can do is textures and stuff of that sort, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But let's try something from layer styles. For example, if I go bevel and emboss, you guys can see what happened over here. What I can do is soften this. For example, soften the bevel and emboss and increase the size just a little bit. And yeah, keep everything else the same. And then pull up over here and add an inner shadow. Once I add an inner shadow, basically this inner shadow can have a dissolve effect. And this dissolve effect will be bluish. So you can see it's blending in. It's kind of blending in, and we can just try different shades to see how it turns out. But yeah, blue vibes is good. Opacity can be 100, and the distance can be a bit more. The size can be a bit more. All right, and pretty much now if I go and choose the very same shade, exact same shade, it will blend in. No, I think I messed it up. Basically like this. Now it looks like it's blending in. I just don't like the bevel and emboss effect maybe. Yeah, now this looks cool. I don't know if we're fine with a grainy style. So kind of this is how our final result is. It's not that good, but if we add deep glow, that will be the whole game changer. Now this is what I'm talking about. So just make it 0.5, increase the radius. The deep glow settings for you guys will be different. So just copy my deep glow, how my deep glow looks, not the exact settings, okay? Otherwise it's gonna be messed up. So yeah, first thing we have this, looks very nice. And then we have the Instagram page. I think I did a kind of a mistake. So basically I'm just gonna copy this, paste it up over here. And then once I do paste it up over here, I'll just adjust the sizings in this way, all right? Or never mind, just leave it as how that was. So your Instagram, so this is gonna come your Instagram, and then these two need like a kind of a difference, you know. So to differentiate between these two, what I'm gonna do is add another simple effect, which can be the difference effect. It just makes it more readable. It is a bit dynamic as well. Kind of looks nice. I just think we can add a bit more to these texts. So what I'm gonna do is kind of add a texture on these texts. So I have this sort of a glitch, all right, this glitch effect, and I think this could be a unique add, especially if I kind of just make it to the Instagram text, all right. Obviously the Instagram text looks weird. So you guys can see, basically, this effect is nice, but in some parts it's like black, all right. So to counter this issue, if I just add the linear color key, so if I go to my glitch over here and add the linear color key of the color black, all right, the black color will go away and it will look like it's added on in a certain manner. So it's a nice look, but we gotta make this 3D first, and we gotta get rid of the rotation that it has. Okay, make it the exact same rotation, and then basically now we just have this nice effect on the Instagram. However, you guys can see it's not really getting added. Why? Because there is no glitches in every part. There's only glitches in certain parts. For example, over here. So it is not too dynamic. I think instead of linear color key, I'm gonna add deep glow to it actually. Deep glow, and I'm gonna do required for text. Let's make the deep glow less. So that is gonna be a bit better. So you guys can see, if I just put this on focus mode, alright. If I put this on focus mode, the effect is getting added over here, for example, but it's just not too noticeable. And it's kind of only getting added when there's, let's say, low opacity. So if I decrease the opacity, no, never mind. It's just the effect itself. Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of that for now. All right, now we can add the effect that we want onto that later on. But anyways, now for example, we have this text. Okay, we have this movement that's happening, and I forgot to do something. I think I reset my After Effects or something, so my work panel just went over here automatically. But anyways, all right, we have this. Looks cool. And this page one, I'll just make the opacity finish faster. All right, and basically I just want to add an effect on this as well. So this is gonna have a little gradient ramp with a CC light sweep, all right, just to differentiate it from its background. So it's gonna be like this almost. Cool. So this is how it's almost gonna be, nothing too harsh. And then, oh, your text is going, the opacity of it is going down. Not sure why. Yeah, that is because, but it doesn't matter. Okay, now once this scene comes up, which is basically on the above part, all right. So we have this whole scene with the cross. Basically, I want the background to start blurring. So I'll add Gaussian blur, all right, and I will do blurriness. And then once this scene comes up, it will be fully blurred, the background. So it will be like this, and this will even go above this stuff. So this is how it would look, all right, with the background blurring. And I'll add another effect called curves. Okay, so what I will do is with curves, I'll add a bit of differentiation or contrast, which is gonna be interesting actually. I haven't seen anyone do this, but yeah, let's say I will do this, take this above a little bit, very less, and I will take it above the Gaussian blur. So there's gonna be a bit of change in colors once this happens. So it's gonna almost, see what happens. It's gonna be like this, cool. It's gonna be like this with curves. And I wanna add another effect called exposure, and basically we just want to decrease the exposure to go down once this happens, so we can focus on this scene. All right, so this is how this will come up basically, and then all of this is gonna go down, and let's make it go down a bit earlier over here in this way. Cool, looks good, very nice. Obviously this is gonna have deep glow and stuff, don't worry about that, and we're gonna be adding overlays that are gonna make things better. But initially, we have our shape layer over here. And for our shape layer, I'll just go to gradient ramp. As you guys can see, I'll take this gradient ramp in this way. I'm just adjusting the gradient ramp. Oh shit, I did it for the wrong layer. Sorry, it should be on the stroke, not on the fill. So go on the stroke, go to linear color, okay? And do this, as you guys can see. Basically, we have the gradient ramp happening. And then come on the inside. And for example, I'll make this one over here dark blue, and the outside a bit of a lighter blue. So this is how it looks, as you guys can see. This is how it looks. And pretty much what I want to do is copy paste the same gradient ramp or gradient stroke for this one. So come over here and paste it, take it above, and I believe if we delete the stroke it will work. Cool, it worked. As you guys can see, it did work. And now what I can do is add deep glow on those. But before I do that, this what text effect is kind of pissing me off over here. So I'll go to layer styles, and I added an effect called gradient overlay. Forgot to say so. And let's say we want to flip it. Okay, want to flip it so that it is 270 degrees this way, 270 degrees. And then I will just increase the scale a little bit, and we go and edit the gradient editor. Basically just go on the opacity stop and decrease it a little bit. Don't decrease the opacity a little bit. Wait, I'll tell you guys what to do. But okay, this is a good start, cool start. This is a good differentiator. But there's one thing that's happening. I don't understand why. And that is weird. Is that if I go on two views, you guys can see the what text is way more behind, but I'm not sure why it's overlapping the do they think about you text. A bit weird, but maybe if I just take this above it, it will, yeah, it got fixed. So I just took this above it. So usually in camera this does not happen, but anyways, over here it happened. A bit of a weird issue. But anyways, let's go back to one view. Bro, it becomes so tight when there is like, when we go one view and stuff with this view. And you see everything over here just gets compressed. It gets a bit fucked. But okay, what text now has the effect that we wanted. But shape layer should go below the what and below this. So now you guys can see the what text will come up, and then the first shape layer comes up. The second shape layer can trim path later on. So now I'll go over here, go to trim path and paste it on the second one. As you guys remember, we added trim path. So this will come up later. The trim path from this one will come up later. So it will be like mid animation basically. I just want it to be a bit mid animation. Cool, nice. This will go above the what text, this shape layer. Okay, cool. So this is how this looks basically. Now I will add a bit of a mask effect over here. Just look at what I'll do. I'll add a mask and I will do minus, subtract, and then just feather it. So look at what will happen when I feather it. This is what happens. There is a bit of a fade. So this fade allows them to like combine with each other. This is not something they did. I'm just doing this from my own side because why not? And then you guys remember the same your text, whatever that was. I can pretty much copy everything from the your text and paste it over here on do they think about you text. Just get rid of the deep glow for now. Make the black above, alright? The black above and the blue below in this way. So kind of this is how it looks. I think it doesn't look that good. So we just gotta chill it down a little bit. And also this will not be black, it will be white. Alright, it will be white. And then there will be this touch of black, as you guys can see. Now for the light sweep, it's very seamless, which is the cool part about it. And now you guys will see, it will basically come up like this. What do they think about you? So this comes up, nice. And then this comes up, cool. Also we will add motion blur and stuff of that sort later down. But yeah, this is what we have as of now with all of this. What I'll do is I'll add deep glow on our shape layer as well. So add a bit of a deep glow, make it 0.3, boom. Add deep glow on the second shape layer as well. So now the deep glow is also on the shape layers. Very nice. Also for this Gaussian blur, I don't like how unrealistic this Gaussian blur looks. So what I'll do is I'll switch it out with blur that is a bit more realistic, which is called camera. So let's delete this, go to camera lens blur, add this below the exposure, make it from 0, go here. Now look, this will look more realistic. Camera lens blur is just heavier, but it's more realistic. Now the background looks way more realistic, which is nice. So boom, like this, and then the background basically comes to a blur, and then we have this come up. Now there's a couple of things that we can do. All right, before we get into the overlays and stuff, I can add a bit of wiggle on the whole position of the thing. So basically if I separate dimensions of this and then I go wiggle over here, wiggle, and I do 2 by 10 for example, and I copy this exact same wiggle, paste it onto Y position. We don't want it on X position because then it will go up and down. That will be really weird. You can see there is a bit of a wiggle, which just adds more life, and this is something Bart VFX does, which is the wiggle thing. So this Amber visual guy, he didn't do it necessarily, but Bart VFX did it. So now we have this nice wiggle effect, as you guys can see. You guys can see it is wiggling and it's unnoticeable. So it's really nice, this whole wiggle effect, and it's all like it's done on the camera. You get me? So boom, nice, very cool, very cool, very cool. And pretty much I think now we're just gonna add the overlays and stuff of that sort. Also I think the blur and everything can be graphed. Okay, can be graphed and can start a bit earlier. As for the exposure, I'll delay it, but the camera lens blur and stuff should start earlier. So it is, yeah, that looks nice. Okay, now I will just pre-compose this whole thing, okay, and add effects on top of it. So I imported this film burn effect that I had on my PC. Honestly, all of these effects, like I don't even know where they came from. I just had them. So that is the crazy part about this stuff. But initially, what I'll do is rotate this 90 degrees this way, and then do hold it. Just do this and make the mode screen. So you can see this is how it will happen. Initially, this is the only scene that I want, like just want it to be from here. Basically, it looks like it's coming up in this way, you know. And what I'm gonna do is do hue, all right, and just decrease the saturation a little bit, don't increase anything, and change this to the vibe that we have, which is blue almost. And we can just colorize it, that would be better. So light blue would go good, and then just increase the saturation a little bit. So now I have a bit of the blue type of vibe, cool. And then there is this particles effect that he adds. So I'm actually just gonna search up for particles. Maybe dust particles, let's see what this has. I think the dust particles is a nice add-on. So I'm gonna make this 90 degrees as well. Just increase the size and pretty much do screen. But the dust particles is too noticeable, so I'm just gonna make it like 50%. Okay, so now we have this dust particles that is added on, okay? With the dust particles and the overlay that we added, it's almost like a lot better. Another thing they have is literally everything over here has 3D. This is one thing. So I'm just gonna add 3D to everything. All right, now you can see it looks. I'm not a fan of this style or whatever. Like I'm just following. I'm just seeing like this style is a bit smooth style and stuff of that sort. So I'm just doing for the sake of that. But it's not my type of style. I like to go for something that is a lot easier to interpret. All right. So we have this, basically this part. What else can we add, boys? There is another kind of effect that I see a lot of people making these days, which is like an impact type effect. So let's see how that looks if I add it, but that would have to be added from the inside. So basically just make an adjustment layer, and then I'll add the preset. It's going to be linked. So impact shake effect. And there should be keyframes. You can see basically this is like the impact, and I see a lot of people do this like mid movement. So let's check where our mid camera movement is, which is pretty much this camera. This is the mid movement, and I will basically just do the impact here and take it 0. I don't know if this will look good. Let's see how it looks. You can see like this maybe made a little bit of an impact, but I don't know. I think for impacts you need a bit more, basically you need a bit more type of rough shake basically. So over here the impact doesn't look too good, but I'll link this, you know, it might help you guys. All right, so we have these particles we added, we have this film grain, whatever film burn we added. I think the last part would be just a bit of a texture. So for textures we can open up Vecteezy, and I will just go to all images, and then I will search up texture dirt, for example. Let's see what we can find. But initially with these textures we can add them like on top for it to create a certain type of effect, especially if we add offset to it. Okay, let me just search up texture. Normally doesn't have to. I like this. I feel like we could go creative with this, but anyways, let me get this one actually. And to download stuff for free from Victeezy, basically there is an effect called enable right click. So enable right click and then save image, and boom, import it into After Effects. Now this looks low quality if I'm not wrong. Yeah, no, actually it's not that bad. So rotate it again and scale this shit up. And now I'll add curves. Once I add curves, I just want to differentiate between the black and white. I want to decrease the white, increase the black. I think it should be like this. Okay, so the way these textures work is that, look, if I invert it, guys, I just do invert, it becomes black. All right, with these curves, I can make the black a bit harsher, okay, in this way. And so what will happen is the texture will only pick up these parts, you see? So now if I do screen, see what happened? It only picked up these parts. And that is what we want, for it to pick up these parts. But I think we're gonna do overlay actually, not even screen. Okay, I don't know if overlay is gonna work. Sorry. Yeah, and then I will add offset, an effect called offset, and go over here and just add push rise time first. Make the push rise time like 4, and then go to wiggle, and the wiggle is gonna be very intensive, 3 by like 500, 3 frequency. So you can see the texture is basically gonna move. Now the texture is slow. I think we gotta go for higher frequency, 10. Okay, let me put this in quarter just so we can view the texture. Okay, you guys can see we have the texture. Obviously the texture is way too visible in this case, which is why we gotta do screen and decrease the opacity to like 10. So it is almost in the background, like it's not even viewable very well. It's just seamless. Again, things have to be seamless. So this added a bit of texture. I'm not sure if it's visible to you guys, but look, if I decrease the opacity, focus on this part for example, you'll be able to see it. So we have this little texture, and I think our last point would be, which I forgot, was to add deep glow on the Instagram page thingy. So just pull up over here, go to the text that says your, and copy this deep glow and just paste it. Okay, this is too much, so make it 0.3 for example, increase the spread and do the same here. Now that looks better, looks cool. The black background, you guys can see something happening, which is because of this impact. Basically this impact needs to have a bit of a zoom as well, so maybe 105, just so we get rid of that thing. So I will do scale from 100 and then 105 and back to 100, and then just do the graph. So there will be a bit of a scale with the impact just to avoid the corners from cutting out. Okay, I think if we just hide the impact, it'll turn out to be better. But let's look at what we have right now. Cool. I think I'll just hide the impact. I see it unnecessary. Yeah, you guys see, the camera was the simple part, but if you guys understand cameras and all of that stuff, then obviously it's gonna be way easier for you guys to deal with projects, to deal with all that stuff. But anyways, over here in the last thing, there is a glitch effect. And if you guys go to the glitches section in EL, you're gonna find a lot of glitches. All of these glitches should be there. And let's take, for example, this one. I'm not even sure. This is a nice glitch actually. Again, this needs to be 90 degrees. All right. And let's see where we can take this glitch. Yeah, we can take it in this part. So I'm gonna add a marker. So boom, over here, and then cut out. So for this glitch, obviously it's gotta be add. This looks shit. I think we need a better glitch. Yeah, this glitch is cool. 90 degrees. This glitch is cool. I know this glitch. I think all of you guys might know this glitch. Over here, place a marker and then just do a cut. And let's add it on, make it add. And then once this happens, basically, we just cut. So this is what we have, boys. Obviously, we need a bit more breathing space. I feel like it cuts out way too early. Way too early. Yeah, just cut it out over here. So this is the animation that we have. This is the animation that we have. Nothing too complex, very easy. In the next video, we'll go for something maybe a bit more complex. But the whole point of this short form style, whatever, it's literally just the camera movement, which is why the previous video and the video that's before it is very, very important, because it's the camera movement that makes all of this stuff stand out to be better. You guys get me? And sometimes you'll even see people like add these random glitches in the middle of their scene, okay? And they would have like very low opacity. It would be like 20. So it would come up like randomly over here. I see a lot of people do this nowadays. It's an old anime trick, like when people used to edit on anime, it used to be. And basically if we decrease the opacity, the whole thing messes up. So if we go curves and we adjust the curves to lighten up, so too much. Yeah, just decrease the opacity a little bit. But yeah, like we could have, you know, this certain thing. It's not that deep, to be honest, but cool. This is what we turned out with, boys. Last thing probably would be to pre-compose it and then add posterize time. Posterize time and make the posterize time maybe 18 FPS. Because 18 FPS and stuff like that just makes it look a lot better than a very smooth 20 FPS. So 18 FPS is cool. Maybe just go for 12 FPS as well, which is half of 24. And this is how it would look, but no, this is too laggy. 16 FPS could still be questionable, but 18 is good. Let's just go 18 as we had it in the starting. And this is our result, boys. This is pretty much our result. So yeah, guys, that was pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the remake of this certain animation that we had. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. In the next video, we're gonna do another remake. But if you guys have any certain remake requests and whatever, I can definitely do it. I can do anything, just request it and you'll have it. So yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Welcome to the basic derushing and cutting video. So pretty much in this video, we're gonna have a raw video and we're gonna go all the way from syncing it to cutting it and derushing it. And then we're gonna sort out the rest in the rest of the videos. So as you guys can see, here we have two imported videos. And the reason it is two videos is because one of them is the audio, alright, which is a screen recording from OBS, and one of them is the actual camera. So what I'm gonna do is I usually like to have my sequence at the exact settings of the video so that I don't mess up anything. So that depends on the camera that you're shooting at. But if I import this and we go to sequence over here and I head to sequence settings, you'll see that it is 4K because it is 3840 by 2160 and it's 25 frames per second. Alright, now some people do like to edit, for example, 29.97, which is basically 30, or some people even like to edit in 24. I'm just gonna leave it 25 and then in the end we're gonna tweak. And then we have the audio layer over here. Now I don't need the video layer of it, I just need the audio, so I'm gonna double tap on it. Alright, it's gonna open up this source for me and I'm just gonna import. Now these two are pretty much audio layers. This is the camera audio and this is the actual audio. So I'm gonna get up over here and instead of doing it manually, I'm just gonna synchronize. And now we just wait for the synchronizing to end, which is gonna be very, very quick because it's not a huge layer, actually very short. So now it's automatically synchronized. And if we do wanna check, let's give it a look. So I'm just gonna play this part. Not all are gonna be bangers, but trust me, you won't waste any more hours getting stuck. And this is why. So over here you can see it is pretty much exactly synced. Now it does feel that there's a bit of a desync, and that's because the frame rates are different. And this is why. But now I just moved it 1 second earlier, alright, or 1 frame earlier, and it became exactly accurate. So let's listen to it from any other part. Not all are gonna be bangers, but so you can see it's almost like both of the audios are matching together. And then I'm gonna select on this, which deselects the ability to be able to select the audio and video. I'm gonna delete, alright, take this up and link those, and then just get back to this. So now when I move the video, also the audio is moving, and this ensures that it never ever gets desynced. Now we are exactly on track, alright? If you spend more time thinking, so like you see, it is exactly synced. Now let's get to the process of cutting. Usually when we talk about cutting, there is a two-phase process. First phase of the process is removing all of the stutters, and then the second phase of the process is removing all of the gaps and having it in a way but you can visualize the edit itself. So now what I'm doing, now my objective over here is to be able to just cut out these stutters, because this is a short form video, all right, 11-second short form video that is supposed to be done in 1 minute, and it just took me 11 minutes to be able to film 1 minute, which is completely fine because I'm doing many takes, all right. And with that, let's get into the fact that we have to cut out everything, okay. And then later in the videos we're gonna talk about changing this up to short form. So let's de-rush this 11 minutes into 1 minute. Now, an easier way to be able to do this process is to be able to visualize where the stutters have been done. And usually for me and many other creators, I always stop on the last take being the best take. That means if I did 10 different takes, my last take is usually my best take, because I've done 9 repetitions. So I've trained my mind and I've trained it and everything. And I only proceed forward when I'm happy with the output. All right. So the video starts with something like, let's listen to it. If you spend more time thinking. So it starts with if you spend more time thinking. And just over here in text, we can see that I've repeated this so many times. If you spend more time thinking, if you spend more time thinking, if you spend more time thinking. And I don't need to play through all of this. Now, why I don't need to play through all of this is because me, myself, I know what I said. But if you are an editor and you're going through this process, then I would suggest you take a look at everything beforehand, because it's only 11 minutes of raw footage. I'm not telling you to go through 30 hours of raw footage, right? It's only 11 more minutes. And through this 11 minutes, you can identify what to cut and what to not. But for the sake of the video, I'll just find my right part and I'll show you how I cut it. So the right part should be over here, all right? Because you can see I proceeded further from this part. So if I click over here, I just skip 2 minutes. And now what I want to do is, my shortcuts might be different than you guys. So you don't want to follow my shortcuts because it's very, very different. It's something that came from After Effects and other apps before. But initially, I think it's going to be C for you, which for me is S, is the razor tool. The razor tool is the tool that you need to cut, okay? And if you want to get more in depth about cutting, then there is the video in the beginner module, but I show the exact shortcuts to be able to cut way faster. Over here, I'm just doing it for the sake of the process itself. So I'm gonna cut and just delete and then delete the space. So we can see over here, this is gonna be my first take. If you spend more time over here, it looks like it was wrong. So if you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually editing, then you're missing on these 3 systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. There we go. That was pretty much the first part of it all, the first 7 seconds, which is the hook. And what I'm gonna do over here is I'm just gonna make a cut, all right, to finalize this. And I'm gonna go over this whole process and pretty much have the right takes. So the next take is, first up is Pinterest. So I start with that. And over here you can see I said first up many times. So I'm just gonna find the take what I think is the most or is the last. So over here, first up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here is where, there we go. Now, again, I'm gonna go on the razor tool. There is a way where you can do this much faster, and that's where I'm telling you to go and watch in the beginner module in case you don't know. But if I just press on my button Q, okay, boom, I'll show you what it has done. Pretty much what it did was it automatically cut for me here, and then it deleted this, and after deleting it, it merged. So this whole process is called ripple delete, okay? This is called ripple deleting. That means if I just make a cut, okay, and I select this and I do triple delete, it will not make a gap. But if you don't do ripple delete, it makes a gap, and then you have to delete that gap as well. So ripple delete initially just cuts and joins with the other part, okay? Now, this is exactly what I did, okay, which is a ripple delete, except I just have a shortcut for ripple delete, a customized one, because After Effects or Premiere Pro doesn't give you one. So you need to go in here, edit, and go to keyboard preferences and do it, all right? So you can see now we have this. Unlimited editing ideas. First up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here is where most editors fuck up. So now you got the process. I'm gonna be back once I have the whole cut ready, but with lesser gaps, okay? Now over here, because I already had the video rendered from before. I'm just gonna use that video. Now over here, there is actually many gaps, but it's the exact version with no stutters. So if we just play it, so let's play it. If you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually editing, then you're missing on these 3 systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. First up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a fresh Pinterest account and spend only 5 minutes doing this. Search up. So you can see over here there was a little gap, and the reason I left this gap is just so I can show you guys the derushing process, or to be able to cut this. Alright, so let's cut this down so that it's smooth and it's keeping that momentum throughout the video, because when we have this part, you can see it ruins the momentum, and that we cannot have this big of a gap because the attention span of the people that are watching are not that good. So we cannot have huge gaps unless it makes sense. So if you're covering it up with b-rolls, music, and etc. So initially what I'm gonna do over here is just play this and see where we have gaps that need to be cut. Okay, if you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually editing, then you're missing on these 3 systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. So you can see over here, I said unlimited editing ideas, right? Editing ideas. And initially what I want to do over here is I feel like there is a bit of a weird gap and it's creating this loss of momentum. So I like the fact that there is a gap, but I just don't like how slow it feels, right? Editing ideas. So initially what I'm going to do is just make a harsh cut over here, very harsh cut, and I'm going to take this, okay, and take this as well, and I'm going to drag this backwards just so we're having like some sort of a this is called J, by the way. That means the previous clip starts before the first one even ends. That means when I say ideas, before I finish the S in the ideas, that means the ending of the word, the next video plays. So I'm just gonna have it very less. That means I'm gonna have it like 1, 2, or 3 frames. All right, so 3 frames only. So let's play it. Editing ideas. First up is, so you can see how there was almost no gap. This is how it looks with a gap. Ideas. First, that means there was some sort of a slowdown. But if I do it in this way, these 3 systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. First up, so that means it's keeping that extremely fast momentum. Now we don't always do this, but only in this situation am I doing it, especially because I ended a paragraph. All right, I ended a paragraph. That means I did a cut in this manner. And now let's just have this back down. All right, because I don't like it being up. This is just a preference, doesn't matter. Is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a... Here's the hack. So I said here's the hack, and then there was a like second gap. So I'm just gonna cut that. Press, you can go on the razor tool, delete, or just press over here. Press on the shortcut that you have for ripple delete, and boom, it's gonna happen. Here's the hack. Create a fresh Pinterest account and spend only 5 minutes doing this. Yep, you can see over here, there is a huge gap. So I'm gonna go towards the end of this. Okay, I can see over here the audio wave. The audio waves are very, very important, by the way. I'm judging everything based on the audio waves. That means I ended up over here, and I'm gonna make a cut, okay, which can be Ctrl+K. Okay, that's one way. For me, it's just X on my keyboard. I can make a cut, or you can go to your razor tool, hold Shift and delete. There is many ways you can do this. Come up over here, exactly to the starting, boom, delete. There we go. Let's play it. Minutes doing this. Search up for keywords. Even over here, I don't like how it's slow, but initially what we can do is I can just have like a bit of a J cut, but without overlapping the audio. So we can go on this tool, which is called rolling edit. It might be N for you. Select this, okay? Deselect this, just so that I can roll. And now I'm gonna do a J cut. That means it looks like a J right now. If we just try to visualize how this looks, it looks like a J. Just follow my cursor. That means the video will delay, but the audio will start playing. So see this. Search up for. That means look at over here. You will see a lot of big YouTubers doing this all the time. And I did this again because it's end of paragraph. That means you always gotta do this when it's end of paragraph. Okay, you don't just do it anywhere. 5 minutes, and you don't gotta do it always. You only do it sometimes. Doing this. Search up for keywords like motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. Over here, I feel like it's very slow. So what I'm gonna do is try to cut it to see how it turns up. Motion design, animation. Yeah, I think that's gonna be fine if I cut it. So let's see. Motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. And I think over here, like the way I'm visualizing it is also, I think it's gonna have, in terms of like the visual, what I'm visualizing over here is there's gonna be an animation that's covering the screen, okay? And while it's covering the screen, it's not gonna show my face or the constant cuts, especially in this place. When I say animation, motion design, that means it needs to be very quick if I'm doing the animation, right? There cannot be gaps. That's why I'm doing this cut, because I'm also visualizing that at this point of time, there's going to be an animation that is putting these three words on a screen. That means I won't really have to show my face at this point, but obviously that's going to be like for another day. Over here, we're just going over the whole short form process. So search up for keywords like motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. And etc. And etc. And click on the. You can see I even remove like very small gaps that are unnecessary. Dopest result that you find, and then there we go. Over here also, like I did some sort of a tongue movement, which is basically I'm just drying my mouth out because it got dry, and I'm just gonna cut that. All right, boom. Dopest result that you find, and then you'll get even. There we go. That's good. Over here, I don't need to do a J cut because it's like continuous, right? It feels continuous. On the dopest result that you find, and then you'll get even more results. And keep clicking on the best results. Your algorithm. There we go. Even more results. And keep clicking on the best results. And keep clicking on the best results. Over here, we want to do a cut again. Very harsh cut. Best results. Your algorithm is now trained. Every time you open up Pinterest. Okay, I think. Your algorithm results. Your algorithm is now trained. Every time you open up Pinterest, you'll see fire, design, and animation. As for the. There we go. Design and animation. Over here also, it feels slow. And I don't feel like this should be slow. So what I'm going to do is do the exact same trick. I'm just going to cut this, drag, and pull these forward by like 3 frames. All right. That means it's going to overlap the audio and the video. This is an L cut. Design and animation. As for the. No, that was too fast. I just felt that was too fast. That means we're going to slow it down. Going to make it maybe 1 frame only. Animation. As for the inspiration libraries, cool. It's simple. I just collect my favorite VFX, animation, and design, and put it in a Notion link. There we go. Again, let's do a harsh cut. And put it in a Notion link. If you want a ready-made one, just comment AR7 and I'll send you the link. Now system. There we go. Over here, I feel like the gap is fine. I don't want to make, because this is an end of sentence and it's also fine because I'm saying comment AR7 and I'll send you the link. And now for the second point, so this gap, it makes sense, right? Just the way it is put in a paragraph, like it makes sense because it's like a full stop. And this full stop is not very continuous. It doesn't need to be very continuous. In the other parts, when I'm doing an L cut, it almost feels like, imagine it's a comma. That means I didn't want to end my sentence. It was just like the end of paragraph of a sentence. So now that I can continue on it. You understand? So you realize after I said now that I can continue on it, I took a little bit of a pause because it's a full stop. That means in full stop, in general English, when there is a full stop, there needs to be some sort of a pause. So I'm just putting this in terms of audio, right? That's why I'm making this a little bit of a gap. So 7, and I'll send you the link. Now system number 2 is what I call the creative alchemy. Break down your scripts into multiple chunks. Imagine I like the gap over here, but I still feel like it's too much. This is what I call the creative alchemy. Break down your scripts into multiple chunks. Imagine the chunk of scripts chunks. Imagine the chunks. Yeah, over here also we want to cut this. Imagine the chunk of script says, I was lost looking for. Yeah, over here this is continuous. Imagine the chunk of script says, and then imagine there is like a double dot, right? So I'm just thinking of it like in terms of text because it helps a lot in putting in gaps or not. So what did I say over here? Let's just see. Multiple chunks. Imagine the chunk of script says. Imagine the chunk of script says. So it almost feels like there is going to be this. That means the gap makes sense, or there's gonna be this, right? So it doesn't make sense for us to put these together, even if you're writing it in text. Imagine the chunk of script says, hello, how are you? For example, there needs to be some sort of a gap between this and this so that it's separated, all right? This is just like normal grammar, English or whatever. That means there's either gonna be this, or there's gonna be this, or there's gonna be a comma, or even a full stop. So it makes sense that there's going to be some sort of a gap to be able to differentiate between this. So listen. Script says, I was lost. That means I'm going to keep the gap, all right, because it's natural. Script says, I was lost looking for the right client and I couldn't find the right one. And then break it down, find the right one. Over here, I'm gonna make a cut. Find the right one. And then break, because these are continuous. I couldn't find the right one. And then break it down. So I wanna make this sound like it's continuous, which is why I did a very harsh cut. Find the right one. And then break it down into these two structures. One, which I call literal, and the other metaphorical. Again, the gaps over here are something that would just make sense for there to be like some sort of a comma, or I don't know what is this called, double fucking column or whatever. So it makes sense that there is some sort of a gap. Like I'm saying, today I'm gonna talk about two things. Number one, so it just makes sense for there to be a gap. But imagine if someone says, today I'm gonna talk about two things. Number one, so there needs to be a gap. So it makes sense for there over here for this gap to exist. So I'm just gonna keep it. Structures. One, which I call literal, and the other metaphorical. Now the literal one would be, for example, over here would be, I'm just taking a breath. So this is not important. I mean, I'm just gonna cut this. All right. Literal one would be, for example, multiple icons, and then it goes over some of them, and you find. Even over here, it feels slow. I'm just trying to think at the same time, regardless of me having the script. That means I'm gonna make this very, very harsh. Multiple icons, and then it goes over some of them, and you find the right one, and something right one. Yeah, even over here, I'm gonna make this harsh. And something. So the whole point of me doing this video is to show you that the derushing process is not like you cut out every single gap in the world. It's more like about understanding how it works, the psychology behind the derushing process. Now, I probably don't need to go through the rest of the footage with you guys, and that's just because I don't want to keep the video length too long, all right, for you guys. But you get the point. You get the point. At this point of time, if you want, you can skip to the next video, but I'm gonna keep going until the very end for the ones that are more interested. Something metaphorical would be like hitting a couple of doors. Would be. Okay, I think this should be cut out. Would be like hitting a couple of doors in a maze and then finding the right door which had the right client. And finally, for number 3 would be... Now, this also makes so much sense because I'm shifting from a point to a point. So at finding the right client. And finally, for number 3, again, I'm going to keep this gap. The right client. And finally, for number 3 would be using ChatGPT to brainstorm visuals. The right client. And finally... The gap does feel too long, so I'm going to cut it a little bit. I'm going to keep a bit of a gap. Client. And finally, for number 3 would be... Yeah, there is a little bit of a gap, breathing space, but it's not too long. Right client. And finally, for number 3 would be using ChatGPT to brainstorm visuals. Just drop your transcript in ChatGPT and ask it for 10 to 15 visual ideas. And boom, instantly it will give you 10 for 10 to 15 visual ideas. And ideas. Over here, I feel like this can have some sort of an overlap. So let's first thing cut this, and then I'm just gonna cut this, take it down, select, and boom can be like almost overlap. Visual ideas, and boom. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's drag it more. Visual ideas, and boom. Oh, that was too much. Yeah, what I had it before was better. 15 visual ideas, and boom, instant. Nice. Over here I can make a cut. Boom. Instantly it will give you 10 to 15 ideas that you might have never thought of. Not all are gonna be bangers, but trust me, you won't waste any more hours getting stuck. And this is why... Nice. I like to keep natural gaps when I'm talking, so I'm not taking away every single gap in the world, but I try to remove things where it's clear that I'm out of breath, or it's just me having to think, or it's something that needs to be combined, but there is a gap for no reason, right? That's why the derushing process is more on taste. It's not really too much about how it's done, clear instructions, but it's more about taste. This is why I overlap the audio over here, I overlap the video over here, and etc. So if we just play this unlimited now. Editing ideas. First up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a fresh... Yeah, but yeah, that was pretty much it for the derushing process. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Welcome to framing. In this video, I just want to cover how framing is done. And this framing is something that is very, very important for short form. And I think a lot of people do mistakes when it comes to framing. And it's very important to make sure that everything is within frame, because when it's not, it looks unprofessional in short form in general. So let's talk about what is framing. And I have this little guide from a person named Devin Jatho. Big credits to him. He has made like a certain frame and everything a long time ago, and I just thought, why not recrawl back to it? All right, and I'm gonna cover this for you guys. So we have this Devon zone image in general, which I'm gonna link. As you guys can see, I have the Devon zone over here. All right, and then he explains the whole process of how it is done, which I'm gonna explain right now step by step in Premiere Pro or After Effects, whatever, it doesn't matter. So let's get into importing our video. First things first. So I have my video over here, as you guys can see. This video is extremely zoomed in, and then I'm gonna have my Devon zone, and I'm just gonna extend my Devon zone all the way, and let's just place this all the way up. And what you wanna do is go into opacity and make the opacity like 10. You wanna select this and make it scale to frame size. Then I'm gonna go into my video as well and make it scale to frame size. Now let's see, like, how can I have my normal 16:9 video fitting into this Devon zone? So I'm gonna start with scaling this up. All right, and the first thing you wanna do is you wanna have this as small as possible. As you guys can see over here, this is the smallest that we can go, which will be literally 300 something. Okay, and now what I wanna do is I wanna sync my eye exactly to where the line is. This line represents what we call the eye zone. All right, so I will scale this up a little bit. Okay, scale it up a little bit, take it down, and make my eyes exactly over there. So I'm playing the video, you can see my eyes is averagely over there. I think we can take it a bit higher. And let's see how much we can zoom out. We cannot zoom out much, but it's decent. All right, and pretty much this is now me fitting this video into this Devon zone. All right, the certain zone that we have over here. And in these parts, you do not want to add animations or text in these parts, because it will ruin. This is not something that will be able for the viewer to see. So this is very, very important when it comes to animating or adding captions, is it should exactly make sense inside the zone itself, because if it's outside the zone, it's not gonna fit in well. All right, it's not gonna fit in well, and it's gonna cause trouble, and it's gonna overlap with the text that is on the side. And this is just a little reference to how it's explained. It says text over here. That means the text will go in this, and this will be exactly below the chin. And this is where the chin is almost like going to be. This is like the center zone, and it's like a guide for the center zone. Now this is a video, but you can see, even though my head is moving and everything, we do have like some certain guide for the zone itself. You understand? And we just want to catch like the average, and I think this should be a bit higher. But yeah, we're looking good. Even the shoulders are looking centered. My chair looks centered, so it's like we're in a good fit right now. All right, but this is initially all about the Devon zone. There's nothing much about it. Like, this safety zone is just for me to put it into context and for me to put it into an importance that whenever you do animations, whenever you do text, it should be within this box. Because if we're talking about Instagram overlay and everything, it ruins. There is the like button over here, there's the dislike, and there's the comments and everything, and then below it's like the margins. All right, so you really want to make sure that everything is within the zone, and when things are not in zone, they look very unprofessional. So I'm gonna go into Devin Jatho himself and give you guys proof that everything is within the zone. Most of the stuff, okay, most of the things. So let's go into this video, for example, and let's download it. And let's play this video from Devin Jatho. Let's scale it up. So you can see, first things first, his eyes are almost in the zone. Obviously he's moving up and down, so it doesn't make sense that we're exactly gonna sync it, but we're talking about the editor itself and everything is in the zone. We have certain text over here, you can see, even this is in the zone. These boxes, like most of the stuff is in the zone. And if we just preview it over here, this is because we're watching on the PCs, not actually for the PC, it's mostly for mobile users. It's like the most important details are in the zone. Now this is something that is outside, which is completely normal. But if we're talking about main elements, they cannot go outside of this zone. All right, let's play it. You can see even this Everything is in the zone. This is also in the zone. Let's talk about something that is a bit more complex. You can see the center, or where he actually wants the viewer to look, it is all in the zone. Even like the center of this whole animation, it's not going outside. All right. Now, it doesn't mean that, oh, you're gonna have the animations cut in this way or that way. This is just for you to keep in your mind that things cannot be, like, the main elements cannot be outside. If we're talking about centered elements, they also cannot be outside. But yeah, I think the most important part of it all is not even elements. It's like text. If it's outside, it's gonna ruin. And if we notice over here, every single one of the text is going within the safety zone, which makes sense. And it's not ruining any side buttons, especially because most of the users are mobile users. So I really want to take care of the zone. And yeah, just for reference, I'll be sending over the link. Peace out. Welcome guys to the most important part of short form, captions. Now in the previous video, I broke down a little bit about derushing and cutting down my video from an 11 minute video to a 1 minute and 30-second video. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to talk more about captions and how we can branch out with different types of caption without the need of After Effects. Because when we start integrating After Effects into these situations, it gets very complex and it makes it very, very, very fucking hard. All right. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm only going to be using Premiere Pro, and I'm going to show you guys how to make great captions in just Premiere Pro without the need of After Effects. Unless you want to go more complex, those are the parts where you can link it. But let's talk about captions and how they are done, everything that goes about captions in general. So I have my video over here. All right, very basic video, nothing too much. Now I want to introduce captions. Where captions will come is, you will see at this point over here, I don't know which workspace you are on, but you can go to any default workspace. For me, I just use all panels, and in all panels you're gonna find text. The text is the most important thing that you need in terms of coming up with captions. And over here you can see we have a couple of options. Now in case you cannot find captions, then you gotta go to window and just select this. All right, and this is gonna pop up. That means if I close this panel and let's say, oh, I'm like, where is my captions? Like, how do I generate captions? I'm gonna go to window, select text, and this is where it comes up. Now the text is automatically gonna generate. If it did not generate, then you just need to generate it. So you can see over here, I have like generate static transcript, and you can do it. Now you don't need to do anything, just select whichever, like if you have multiple audio tracks and you only want to do on one of them, all right, then you gotta select on audio one. Considering, let's say the second audio track has music with vocals, that means Premiere Pro is sometimes gonna confuse the captions. It's gonna make the captions with the vocals of the music as well as the actual video. This is where you come up over here and you select your audio track. But in general, for me, it's already transcribed. I want to go now to captions. And you can see there is create captions from transcript. But before I do, I want to go over a process called refining captions. And the way to refine captions or refining captions is fixing all the deficiencies in the text. So if I go over this transcript, there will be some mistakes and there will be some things that they might have misinterpreted, as well as some wrong full stops and whatsoever. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna play the video very quickly and let's see how we can fix this. So let's play it. If you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually editing, then you're missing on. Okay, you can see over here the comma is perfect. Everything is perfect so far. Even the spellings, and there is no misinterpretation of anything. Editing, then you're missing on these three systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. First up is perfect. You can see over here, even the full stop, it just makes sense, right? So I'm not gonna be removing it, but sometimes it does mistakes, like over here, we'll see now. First up is, first thing, it could not identify the word first up. I said first up, but it did not identify it. So I wanna go over here and I want to write up first. Okay, that means I want to add a word. First up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. You can see there is very close, unnecessary, let's say, full stops. That means I'm just gonna remove the full stop over here, unnecessary. And I'm gonna take this and make it small. First up, here's the hack. It meant, or when I was speaking, I meant for it to be joined, but it's just because I took enough time. Premiere Pro was not able to identify that it's the same sentence. All right. So first up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Okay. So I'm just gonna join this. Up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a fresh Pinterest account and spend only 5 minutes doing this. Search up for only 5 minutes doing this. It makes sense for there to be a full stop, or I could just add this, which is a double dot. I forgot what this double dot is called. Let me just search up the terminology real quick because I feel retarded now. Okay, it's called colon, and I already knew this, but I just couldn't remember. But anyways, here we are back on it. I added the colon. Search up for keywords like motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. Perfect. You can see in etc. also they added a full stop. What I can do is just add 2 more dots. So it's like etc dot dot dot. And click on the dopest result that you find. And then you'll get even more results. And keep clicking on the best results. Your algorithm is now trained. Every time you open up Pinterest, you'll see fire design. Every time you open up Pinterest, okay, it did not detect you will see. So over here, every time you open up, and also did not detect Pinterest, that means it did some mistakes in interpretation. So your algorithm is now trained. First things first, there should be a full stop over here. Every time you open up, or actually let's remove the Pinterest. Let's remove the full stop and add a comma instead. Every time you open up Pinterest, you will, or I'll just make it you'll see fire designs and animations, and then full stop. There we go. I just fixed that up. All right. That means if I play this, when you open up Pinterest, you'll see fire design and animation. As for the inspiration libraries, it's simple. I just collect my favorite VFX. As for the inspiration library, it's simple. I just collect my favorite VFX, animation and design, and put it in a Notion. Over here, Notion, not shell. Notion link. If you want a ready-made one, over here, just make it if. But anyways, you guys get the point. Now I'm gonna get back to you guys once it's all done. All right, we are pretty much done. I decided that I'm not gonna be doing the whole video so it doesn't get too long. But anyways, as for the transcript, it is perfect by this point of time, and anything else is, let's say, unnecessary. So yeah, let's just deal with it from here. Now what we want to do is generate captions. Now to generate captions, very simple. Go into the captions tab and go into create captions from transcript. Okay, over here you can have whatever, just have it subtitled default. And then you can stylize some things, but I don't have any style as of now. What you need to do is first thing, make the lines single. Okay, we don't want the subtitles to have double lines. Make it single. The minimum duration in seconds, just take it all the way down. That means it's gonna detect every single word. Okay, and then the minimum or the maximum length in characters. That means every line, how many characters would it have, right? And I want to have this around. I always have it between 14 to 18, but for now, let's just go for 14. I think 14 is a good number, and I always use 14. So I'm just gonna have 14 for now, and let's create captions. Perfect. Now, before we go ahead and start fixing up all the captions, let's go into changing this up into short form. All right, so I'm gonna go into sequence settings, and what I wanna do is I wanna change the resolution into TikTok resolution or Instagram resolution, and it's very well known, which is 1080 by 1920. If I just do OK, and you can see now it's in mobile resolution. So I want to get this and pretty much fix it in a way where it will make sense. So I think the zoom in is good. I want to have myself centered, scale myself in a little bit more. I think this is not too bad. Good, looking good. If you spend more time thinking of, yeah, and you can even pull up a grid and whatever to be able to look at it. And we're gonna talk about something called safety zone, very soon. But initially, now this is linked to the video from the safety zone. Initially, I'm just gonna pull up the safety zone to be able to see where my face and everything is falling. Now, if you haven't had a look at the video from the safety zone, then I would suggest you really have a look at that. But initially, I'm not gonna talk too much. What I wanna do over here is I just imported our safety zone. Now I'll take this safety zone and just take the opacity down to 10. So you can see the face is gonna go over here, which means we are quite close. So if I move this a little bit to the left, it will make more sense. All right, it's just between my jaw lines and whatever. And I am centered, so that's good. And we're looking good. By the way, you do need to ensure that it is scaled to frame size. But yeah, you can see over here, if you spend more time, we are pretty much in the zone. It's looking good. And one thing that I like to do is just move all of this to the left. All right. And what this does, it will give us a way bigger look, and it will just make it in this mobile type of resolution. But yeah, the most important thing is just having my eyes in the middle of this, having my face in this manner. Now, my face should have been more zoomed out, but if I zoom out more, we go out of frame. So I don't want to zoom out too much. I just want to have something that makes sense for its current moment. But yeah, this is looking good, As long as the eyes and everything is matching, we're on a good solid page. Now, why I bring up this is for us to be able to talk about where the captions will go. Now that I put this on the side, my timeline became very small, which I don't like. But I'm just gonna close this panel, unnecessary. We're good. Now, the first and foremost, most important thing is for us to take this caption, all right, and stylize it. And the way that it's stylized is based on your brand and how you have pretty much had your whole brand around a certain creator. But you can see if I select all of this, it takes us into essential graphics, which is where we want it all. And the first thing that I do is usually just pick up my font. Now there is a font that I like a lot and I use it a lot for my brand, which is called New Has. And you can see over here, New Has is looking pretty good. And then we have the things from the appearances and whatever. We have the fill, we have the shadow, we have the background. Now I don't use any of this, all right? I don't use the shadow either. I'm just gonna get rid of all of this. If this is something that you use for your brand, then sure. But for me, all we need is the fill, okay? And then I go and take this and make it around, let's say 60. And then we wanna go into this letter spacing and pretty much have a letter spacing that makes sense. In usual, it's around this much for me. So it's not too much space, but it's not too less of space. You can see over here, it's looking pretty solid. And then what I want to do is just click on this, which is zone. And now the zone will take it to the center, to exactly where we want. We can take it over here, which is right above the chin. That is if it's needed, but I think it's looking pretty solid. Now, if I play the video, and I just get rid of the Devon zone for now, it's looking decent, but I still think we need to take this a bit lower, just below the chin, all right? Even though the zone does say that it needs to be over there, we cannot have it over there. So I'll just take this a bit lower and we will be good. The most important thing is we don't have the captions too low, and as long as it's not too low, where the viewer is literally looking at the captions and your face separately, then we're good. So just below the chin is looking good. Now what I want to do is refine this even further. We have generated our captions. How can we improve the way it is just put on our screen? So let's go up over here and improve all of the captions. I think thinking of ideas can be in one sentence rather than having it in two different sentences. This is just like normal English. So I'm gonna take this and write thinking over here, okay, and I just extended this out. I think then actually editing could be together, but it's looking fine. Yeah, I think we should have this together, then actually editing, then your cool unlimited editing ideas. I think editing ideas can be on the same page as well. So editing ideas, there we go. Now over here you can see that we had the cut, which what I'm saying first up, that means we're gonna have our caption cut over here and exactly to the cut, so it doesn't doesn't feel abrupt, right? So the cut is happening first for the video and then the captions. What I do is I'll always sync the cuts to the caption if it's unsynced. So you can see unlimited editing ideas. Over here, I said first up is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Now I want to have Pinterest and inspiration libraries on the same page, just so it's more understandable. So I will say first up, and we can see the audio waves. I said is over here. I'm gonna make a cut, join this. I will have the word is over here, space is, first up is, and we can go here and make this column, come up over here, select this, Pinterest. By the way, I'm doing it from here just because it's easier. Pinterest and inspiration. Now the problem over here is this might be too long, right? So we would probably need to find a way to innovate through this. All right. And obviously all of this will be cut and we'll extend this all the way out. You can see this is unnecessary to have it on a different page. So I'm just going to have it here is, and boom, cut this, join. And what I'm going to do is sync the text exactly to the cut. Boom. Over here, there's a cut. I'll sync the text exactly to the cut. Okay, cool. Create a fresh. I think fresh Pinterest can be on the same. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have fresh Pinterest account on the name on the same sentence, just because I feel like it's important. Create a fresh Pinterest account. So let me just delete all of this, drag this further. Fresh Pinterest account. There we go. That's much easier to understand. So you can see over here 5 and minutes was separated, and this is very, very bad. This is like the worst part of it all. Like even if you don't do this, it's fine, but when you have like 5 and minutes on different situations, on different sentences, it cannot work. So what you need to do is combine this now and spend only, and then I'm going to introduce 5 over here, cut this, spend only, okay, cut this and just bring out 5. There we go. And then I'm gonna cut doing as well. Cut doing this. And then I'm gonna remove search. So it just makes so much sense in this way, see? And remove doing over here. And I can even add only in this way over here. Alright. Boom. Cut. And I'm gonna remove only from here. So this is how you optimize your captions, which is very important. Just the way you saw it right now. There we go. Over here, there's something that I removed, which was search. Okay, and let's fix that. We want to do it exactly on the cut, as I said. So I'm matching the captions to the cut. Search up for keywords like, and then I'm gonna have motion design VFX on different screens. Over here, just gonna cut this, and you can see I could have this all on the same screen if I go and innovate it, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna cut all of this, just have it. I'm gonna write everything. Search up for keywords like motion design, animation, VFX. What was it? Yep, animation. And I'll tell you guys why I'm doing this. Okay, don't stress too much about it right now. All I'm doing right now is fixing it. VFX, and etc. There we go. That's how it is. And again, we want to match this. Okay, it's already matched. Perfect. This was perfect. This part was perfect. Your algorithm is now okay. Nice. I'm gonna again do this, fire designs and animations, and I'll tell you guys why again. As for, I can definitely add the word over here instead of having it in a complete different place. As for the, I'm gonna cut the over here and I'm gonna sync this exactly to how we want it. Yeah, I'm gonna have both of these exactly over here, inspiration, libraries. Okay, it's simple, perfect. And put it in a Notion link. Okay, there we go. That's good. Now let's talk about how we can make this caption so much better. All right, let's talk about how we can like improve this whole process. So initially, the way this is done is not too hard. A lot of people do this process that I'm gonna cover right now in After Effects just because they don't know how to deal with it in Premiere. So that's the whole point. Is let's learn and see how we can make this better. So if you spend, by the way, before I do more, I just want to increase the size a little bit to make it like a little bigger. Not too big, but a little bigger. 72 is good. If you spend more time, okay, if you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually edit, more time thinking of ideas, I think until over here, it can be good. So if you spend more time thinking of ideas than actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this somewhat better because I'm emphasizing on each word than actually editing. So first things first, what I'm gonna do is let's upgrade this into caption. All right, and I want to select this. What I need to do over here is separate each one of these words just so we can get more innovative with it. So then make a cut over here. Over here I said editing. So what I'm gonna do is select this, remove than, come over here, select this, remove than actually, come up over here, select this, remove than actually. So now you can see what's happening, than actually editing, and I want to extend these out on completely different layers and extend it to the end. So now we have each one of these, and I want to select on the V tool and just change it up. Now change up stuff, you know. By the way, you want to select on your text and just make it minimized because it won't let us select what's below, which is a pretty stupid feature, but it is what it is. So then actually come up over here, select this, just make it as small. So now you can see I can just change up this the way that I want it. And initially what I want to do is make it in this way. This reminds me more of by maximize, but let's say if I do this, then actually, so yeah, I think this is good. We can select all of this, by the way, and nest it, right, just so we can change its positions. But what I'm gonna do is select and just center all of this, or actually just nest all of this. And now that I do have it nested, I can go over here, effects control, make it bigger. There we go. So let's have a look. Ideas than actually editing. Nice. Then you're missing on. Yeah, that looks good. Of ideas than actually editing. Then you're. We can center this if needed a bit more. I mean, the editing looks more centered. Thinking of ideas than actually editing. Then you're missing on these three systems. Okay. These three systems that are missing on these three. What I'm gonna do is just make this bigger, just so it's more emphasis. Right, that's too big. Bit bigger only. These three systems that will give you unlimited editing ideas. It would give you unlimited editing ideas. I like that, and I think we can like get a bit creative with it. Unlimited editing ideas. Unlimited editing ideas. This is where we can start introducing a bit more of After Effects in these situations, and I'll tell you why. So I'm gonna just open up After Effects, alright, and we're gonna do some sort of a text animation for this part. Even though it is possible to be able to do this in Premiere Pro, I just think the use of After Effects is gonna make it much simpler. Might take a bit more of render time, but nothing more. Like it's pretty simple, very simple. So come up over here, unlimited editing ideas. We're just gonna have this all on a single line. Unlimited editing ideas. Have all of this on a single line, and upgrade this into graphic. And then take this graphic and replace it with After Effects composition. And you can see we have this up. It did misplace a little bit, but that's fine. What I want to do is just go inside, take this, come outside, bring it on, and just separate this. So duplicate it 3 times, have unlimited, and then have editing. I'm just going to put this in focus mode because I can't really see shit. Editing. And then I'm gonna take ideas and cut it. So now we have all of this on certain whatever, unlimited editing ideas. And the reason for bringing up After Effects in this situation is because I think we can make something that is a bit more sexy in the editing part. All right, unlimited. First things first, let's think about how the composition would look. So I think unlimited editing, it's gonna be like this, unlimited editing ideas. Or maybe that looks a bit ugly unless we want to go a bit innovative. For example, have this in this way, make this caps, for example. So I just have it in this way. I'm not trying too hard, but anyways, you can see we have this. And now what I'm gonna do is, let's see how it looks. So I'm gonna just select all of this and position it down, so we are making sure that it's in the same place. Unlimited. And the way I'm gonna pop up unlimited is going to be like with the text animation, for example. So let's go into animate, let's go into position and bring it up like this, and then go into advance, make this ramp up, go into ease low, make it 100%, and then go into offset from 0, unlimited, and I'm gonna go around 20 frames or 10 frames even, and make this 100. So you can see unlimited. In that way, we can make this a bit faster, a bit slower, I mean, unlimited. And I'm gonna add, you know what? I'm gonna add on this opacity and make the opacity 0. So it's gonna come up in this way. So unlimited, and the editing ideas could just be something that pops up. All right, so unlimited. So it's around half over here, editing ideas. So I'm gonna actually do a certain scale. So scale, let's go 5 or 3 frames ahead. 1, 2, 3. Another scale. 1, 2, 3. Another scale. All right, gonna make this a bit bigger and then go in front, make it 0. So this is how it's gonna pop up, and we'll just make this a bit slower and go into F9 and make both of them middle graph, for example. So you can see unlimited editing, and I'm gonna do the exact same shit for this, but just delay it. Unlimited editing ideas. That makes more sense. Unlimited editing ideas. Cool. So let's play it. That will give you unlimited editing ideas. First up, give you unlimited editing. Now this doesn't look that great, but it does the job. And I think we need to take this a bit higher. View unlimited editing ideas. And for some reason there is a... will give you unlimited editing ideas. First up is Pinterest and inspiration. Cool. First up is Pinterest. First up is Pinterest and inspiration. Okay, this one, let's think about how we can have it better. I think also for this one, we can pretty much do the exact same trick that we did previously. So when I go into this, go into upgrade captions, okay, duplicate this, or no need to duplicate. Pinterest, here's what I said, an inspiration library, so I'm gonna do a cut. All right, let's have only Pinterest on this part. Pinterest, oops, what the fuck did I do? Pinterest, and over here I'm gonna have inspiration libraries. Place these on top of each other, minimize this and minimize this. Okay, so how I'm gonna have it is I think I'm gonna have these two in this way, Pinterest, and I'm gonna have the Pinterest in this way, and I'm gonna have like another word that says and over here. So let's duplicate this, and I'm gonna add this and. So this little and, gonna make it very minimized. Let's have it in this way, Pinterest, and I think inspiration libraries should not be on the same line. I'm not sure, but it doesn't look that great. Like, I'm not too happy with how it looks. Okay, maybe I could have the word this or this word to actual and. All right, let's select this, extend it out, and inspiration libraries. That doesn't look too bad, but I'm just not happy with how it looks in general. So I think I'm gonna have it in this way. This looks a bit creative, and let's just see how it looks Pinterest now. And inspiration. There we go. Pinterest and inspiration library. I even want to cut libraries. So inspiration. Yeah, that looks good. Inspiration libraries. But we definitely want to fix the positioning. So inspiration should be a bit higher. There we go. That looks cool. So let's play it. And inspiration libraries. Nice. Not bad. Not bad. I'm just gonna select all of this and nest it so that we can place this exactly in the center. It is a bit random, but it's not that bad. Is Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a fresh Pinterest and inspiration libraries. Here's the hack. Create a fresh Pinterest account and spend this one. I'm just gonna make this the text like this. Fresh Pinterest account, and I'm gonna start from the end. So fresh Pinterest. Let's remove account from here, and then come up over here and make this fresh only. So let's see how it looks. Create a fresh Pinterest account. Perfect. That looks good. Create a fresh Pinterest account and spend only 5 minutes doing this. Search up for keywords like. I don't like how the only is only. So just gonna select this and make it bigger. And only 5 minutes doing this. Search up for keywords like motion design and. Yeah, this is something that I think we'd have to pretty much put it in After Effects again. So I'm gonna replace this with After Effects composition, and let's see how we can make this look good. So the first step would be for me to just rewrite this. All right, and I'll tell you guys why. Because this is not actual solo layers. This is more like in a text box, which is what Premiere does, right? So when it's in a text box, it's much more complex to deal with. So I'm just gonna rewrite this motion design animation, VFX, etc. Okay, and the reason for doing that is just so we have more creativity. We can mess more, and I'm gonna have this centered. And what I want to do now is thinking about how I can have this in a certain composition. So how can we have this in a composition that looks good? Not sure, but that's what we want to figure out. Like motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. I think we can go for something that is simpler by pretty much not doing what I want to do right now, but I always like to go more creative. So there's a certain tool that helps a lot in After Effects, and I'm gonna link it. It's called Text Exploder. Okay, so Text Exploder, or actually to find it, you can just search it up on Google, because this is an old one, so I'm not gonna have it on my PC anymore. So motion design in this way, and animation. Okay, maybe this in a line would be better. Motion design in a line would be better. There's one trick that a lot of people don't know, is you can just directly import the audio. So for me to be able to like sync this exactly, I can just do a cut over here. Okay, it's like I would select the audio and paste it. Now I can hear the audio exactly like how I want it. So I can sync up everything within After Effects. Motion design, animation. Okay, now I'm gonna have actually all of these separated. Alright, so let's take motion design, put it in the center, or no need to even put it in the center. I just need to know where the guideline will be. So let's take all of this and put it in the center, and just gonna cut this. Motion design, animation. Motion design. So what is the animation that we're gonna do, guys? Let me think. I'm just gonna do something simple again with like position. Bring it from down. Go to advanced settings. This time instead of characters, I'm gonna have it as words. Let's go ease low 100, and let's make this ramp up and just offset from -100. And I'm gonna add opacity as well from 0. Offset from -100 from the beginning, having it 100 over here. Motion design, animation. So motion design. Take the animation below, and then animation. Here is gonna come up VFX. Alright, let's make a cut. I'm going a bit random because it's also my first time pretty much editing this video, so I'm thinking at the same time. It's not that I already had this, right? What I'm gonna do is place the etc. in the center. This is a quite good idea. I think it's gonna look cool, etc. And I'm gonna have this like a low opacity. Okay, it's almost like gonna blend in. So motion design, animation. Let's just select the exact same animator and paste it over here, so we don't need to redo. Have this a bit earlier. Motion design, animation, VFX. Paste the exact same range selector. Make it earlier. Motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. VFX, and then when I say etc. VFX, etc., it's gonna be like a key typewriter effect. So let's just go over here, typewriter, and paste this shit. Have it much smaller, etc. Have it much smaller, like speed it up as well, etc. Cool. So motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. Cool. Not too bad. Does the job. VFX, and etc. Now let's have a look at it. Design, animation, VFX, and etc. I'm not too happy with the result. Motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. This is something that is more towards, you know what? It's like more of bi-maximized type of captions, but I'm just doing it on Talking Head, which is why it's a bit different, right? But anyways, you guys get my point. You can always branch out and whatever. I'm just going for something that is very simple, which is why I'm not like sweating too hard on it. Keywords but yeah, like motion design, animation, VFX, and etc. And click on the dopest result that you find, and then you'll get. That pretty much summarizes like the caption part of it, right? This is like this summarizes the workflow as to how it is normally done. I think if we want to dive into captions like other creators, we can definitely do that. But yeah, that was it for general captions as to how generically captions are done and how they're stylized and everything. But yeah, with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. Welcome to B-Roll's Mastery. Now, B-Roll's Mastery is all about having the right sources and knowing how to use these right sources. So that's the objective with this video. In this video, what I want to do is I want to tell you about all of the sources that I have for my B-rolls and how usually they're organized. Plus, at the same time, if you have a client, how you can organize it as well. But initially, I want to get started with it right off the bat without chit-chatting. So let's look at what we have over here. All right. So I have a resource library for good sources of B-rolls. Now, this is everything combined from different sources and different people who have suggested this. And at the same time, what I have in my agency's standard operating procedures. This is what we have been using with our editors for a very long time. Some of these were added from other people and other suggestions. But initially, over here we have every single resource you need for either a B-roll or an image. Now, one misconception that people have, or a lot of beginners have, is they always rely on a B-roll folder from websites like Storyblocks, Pixabay, and they use random characters, random Chinese, or not to be racist about it or anything, but just random people and random individuals where they are just doing a certain emotion, and it's like emotionless. This is not what you want to do right now. Right now, we're in the digital age, we're in 2025. You gotta stop using those lame B-rolls where you're using people who are just scratching their head or doing certain weird movement, and it's from FreePic or Storyblocks. So you want to get rid of that. So then the next question would be, okay, what do I use instead? Here is where we dive into what we need next. All right. What you need to use instead is things like movie clips, things like actual shots from either series or B-rolls from actual people and actual characters that are known in this world. All right. So we have over here the first thing. This I use it a lot with my team, and it's called clip.cafe. It's a searchable database for movie scenes, making it easier to locate the perfect B-roll or a reference footage. You can just write up what you want and it will give you back the result in a matter of a movie form. And we're gonna cover some of these right now when I'm doing the practical B-rolls, alright? And then we have amazing shots on YouTube, for example. This is also a very good source. So you can see over here, this is why I call this an amazing source, is because it has multiple games with different shots. Alright, so let's take a look at Squid Game 2. A lot of people have watched this, so this is going to be in context for some of you guys who have watched this and to be able to understand what is it that we're gonna find on this. Alright, this is pretty much the whole movie extracted in 4K, literally in 4K, and taken the best shots. So imagine you are making something about Squid Game and you want to show this last guy, I don't know, I forgot his name, 456. You can take this shot from the B-roll. You're not supposed to take this whole video, you're supposed to cut this into parts where you can extract things from it, alright, for a certain emotion or a certain feeling. As you guys can see, it has a lot of shots. There is the shots of this behind the scenes man, there is the shots of the back end of Squid Games, there is the shots of all the characters, there is the shots of different games that they have played, and these are amazing shots. These are literally amazing shots. Alright, and I've used this so much in the past, especially when it comes to things like Napoleon, when it comes to things like Oppenheimer and other movies from Christopher Nolan. This is an amazing tool for you to be able to use when you want to come up with amazing shots and use movie scenes. Alright, so we have these amazing shots, amazing page, and now we have things like keywords that you can use, and this is initially something that I think a lot of people do nowadays as well, is you just search up for YouTube keywords for things like short films or a certain camera shot. And the thing about YouTube is when you use things from YouTube or custom made YouTube, it might get copyrighted, or it's not even about the copyright, it's like you're kind of stealing someone's work. But when it comes to movies, they're chill because they're very big companies or Netflix series, they don't care, they actually like it. But if we're talking about small creators, you kind of want to credit them and you want to just keep it maximum use. All right, so to give you a quick example, right now I'm on YouTube and I'm gonna search up for short film in a very good camera. All right, so I'll just search up what's the best camera on earth, for example, and one of them might be like a Sony A7, or it could be the FX3. A lot of cameras are very, very good. Now, the one that I know most, and it's also because I'm interested in buying it very soon, is FX3. So for example, short film, it's a FX3. You can see 2 a.m. coffee. Now we can definitely extract some stuff from the video. So let's have a look. And there'll be very, very good shots. Like imagine you want to do a shot to the supermarket with the cycle. This is an amazing shot. This is something that you can potentially use, right? These single camera shots, these angles, all of this you can extract and you can use and organize it in a folder, all right? And now we have, just for it to not get too long, we have things like shot deck, we have film.ai. All of these work in different ways. Your best case right now would be to go and organize and try every single thing from here to see how it works. You don't need a tutorial for me to teach you how to use shot deck. You don't need a tutorial for me to show you how to use clip.cafe. These are straight up UI apps, okay? And you can just open up the website and you can figure out how to use it. It's very, very simple. One of them being clip.cafe, which is, you can say, my favorite when it comes to movies. That's why I have it first on the list. You can see, you can even put up certain movies. You can put up an actor, you can put up a character. You can do anything, all right? And let's say I will search up a certain movie. You can see I have certain searches from here. But imagine I want to show car racing manual gear. I don't know why that came up to my head, but obviously the search results over here, they cannot be extremely specific, all right? So you want to definitely try and branch that out. But you can see over here, now it's giving us keywords that have the keyword car racing into movies, all right? So anywhere they say the word car racing, we can extract that. And the thing about movies is it's very, very good if you want to extract a certain clip. Or what we can do, which could also be potentially very good, is you can take this and do scene description. So the thing about this is it will not give you exact word for word, but it will give you a scene describing car racing. So now we'll find more clips where there is car racing, okay? And you can see over here, a man racing suit talking to a man in a racing suit. So this is just a description, right? This is if you want to find clips that are of car racing, but the word car racing wasn't said necessarily. Then we have a lot of other things. Like you can just search up a movie, you can search up a character, you can search up a fucking director, Christopher Nolan, for example. There we go. Let me search them up. Movies from Insomnia, movies from clips from thousands of different parts. We have Inception. We have The Dark Knight, which is the Batman movie. So there is a lot of things, guys. There is a lot of things, and you definitely want to go and try all of these out. This is unlimited, and most of these are free. All right, most of these are free. And then we have, other websites like film.ai. We have shot deck. I don't like shot deck too much. It's not my favorite, but it is still very good when it comes to extracting from Netflix series. And then we have searching for YouTube. Imagine if you're editing for a certain person or a video like by Maximize and it's about Steve Jobs, for example, and you want to search up the new iPhone and you want to make the year before 2010. You're going to find all the results or all the videos that were uploaded before 2010 that have the keyword new iPhone. So that's how it works, all right? And then we have other tools like Midjourney or any other AI tools. We have Adobe Photoshop. We have, 1,000 other tools that generate images, but Midjourney is personally my favorite. And then if you are editing for a client, you might also want to get a B-roll folder that is organized and good for your client. So let me show you guys an example. So you can see over here, we have this into different countries. It's just because of the client himself. But initially, for example, if I go to Turkey, I have it into different folders of the client working outside, working with friends, traveling, talking clips, random, etc. So let's say, for example, a clip is about him talking about something working outside. So the editor would just go here and extract a B-roll from here instead of having to go over the process over and over again. So take a look at this. Working on a pool, working on a MacBook. And I don't want to click on these because the links will reveal. But anyways, let me just click on one of them. So let's see, for example, this one. Working by the tool, working by the pool, right? And we can see over here, it's a B-roll of him walking to the pool, and it's also cut in a way where it's removing the unnecessary parts. Now the editor, he doesn't have to worry too much, and when he's editing, he can get like very specific. All right, and this clip is also colored. It's very well color graded, has very good colors. You can see this is how it looks non-colored. In the end, we had like a bit of a look. Yeah, that's how it looked non-colored. But yeah, this is the whole explanation of B-rolls. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. This is all you need. Is you need to create your clients folder, and you need to have these good sources of B-rolls. All right, so with that, all right, let's dive into Premiere Pro and do a video and just break down to you what's my B-roll process like, and how do I work around it. All right, so I'm just gonna open up Premiere Pro, and I have a raw video from one of my clients which I can link, and it's a very random video. It's about founders is not gonna care about what you say. All right, so the first things what I'm gonna do is just go into sequence settings and make this in a resolution of TikTok or short form, so 1080 by 1920, and I'll just keep it the same frame rate. Boom, now it's being cut, and I will just scale this in a little bit, or you can just go here and do scale to, not scale to frame size, or no, actually you don't want to do that, but yeah, it's 133.3, and then I'm just gonna move them to the middle. Boom, perfect. And it's also now within the zone of short form. And let me wear my headphones and let's get to it. All right, so this is an already edited video, by the way, and just for the fun of it, I'll add it with the music so that we can feel the emotion at the same time. So let me download the final video. If you guys want to have a look at the final video, then do so. But this is one of the editors in our team.
Founders not going to care what you say, what you show. It's what you could do for their companies, right? If someone comes up to your company and they're like, I could do X, Y, Z, and they don't execute, you're useless to them. I was slaving for nothing. I'd go to these companies and be like, you're paying this guy 10, pay me 2, and I'll do the same thing but better, right? And I'd suffer for 3 months because of that. I would do better, but they'd be so happy paying that low rate, and I didn't have leverage where I'd get stuck at this 2-3K rate. But those are the experiences that made me learn the most. That's where I built all the experience, the connections, and really my work ethic. So yeah, I was really just like slaving myself for pennies on the dollar, but I gained a ton of knowledge off that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the actual edit. I like the sound design here a lot, even though the B-rolls might not be the most perfect. It's just because for our client we want to use more of his B-rolls, and it makes sense, which is why it doesn't have too many B-rolls. I mean, this is not the perfect video. If you guys want to find a perfect video and actually practice it, go on a video from By Maximize, where he has like thousands of fucking B-rolls, and you can go and you can learn from that more in terms of like going and seeing what B-rolls he used. Maximize is very great at this. But yeah, let's import this into Premiere Pro. Now this is a cut up version, meaning that I don't think we can use it, but let's see.
Founders not going to care what you say, what you show. It's what you could do for their companies.
Yeah, you can see over here it's getting unsynced, so I'll just end up removing this, and let's not care about the music for now. All right, it's okay. Usually I like to do the music first in short form. That's my process. All right, but in this sake, like, it's just for the sake of me showing you guys. So let's get to the actual process. So what I'm gonna do is just extract this, double click. All right, have this like a little bigger so that we can initiate the process more to how we want. So this is somewhat what the process looks like. I go over the video, all right, and I look over what can potentially be done in terms of B-rolls. So let's play the video and see where we can mark out our parts where we can do B-rolls, okay?
Founders not going to care what you say, what you show. It's what you could do for their companies, right?
Okay, this is something that potentially can be switched between two different B-rolls, because I just like the way he says what you say, what you show. But the thing about this is I don't like how early it comes, all right, because I like to show the face more, but we can just have this anyways. So let's say, for example,
you say what you're going to care what you say. Who's not going to care
what you say. So I'm gonna put a marker over here, and what I'll do is I'll just name what type of B-roll I'd like to have over here. So person just talking, okay, and it could be a person that is probably talking. If we can have a perspective of a famous founder standing and someone talking to him. So imagine Elon Musk and someone that is not too well known, but he's talking to Elon Musk. It looks like he's yapping to Elon Musk. That's something that we can have, right? And we can have a founder that is pre-known. So just someone yapping to a big founder. Now in this case, if it wasn't for me to teach, I would have just used a clip where Mo himself is talking. So I would go into the B-roll folder and I'd find a talking clip of him, which I have literally in a folder called talking. So you can see over here, there is him in Turkey. He's just talking to the camera. So for example, something that I could potentially use, for example, him just talking to the camera. This is why I say it gets very, very easy when you have the vision. And what I'll do is I'll just make a duration, okay?
You say what you say.
And then over here, we're gonna have a founder or another perspective of this if possible, but something that gives up the same vibe. So someone showing something to the camera, all right, that is related to business. Even over here, I can just use like a clip of Mo on the laptop where he's showing something on the laptop. So see over here, there's a clip of him showing something on the laptop. So this is potentially something that I could use if I end up with not finding what I want or what I'm visualizing.
You show.
There we go. So I'll just have this in this way. You can see. So there's gonna go B-roll 1 and then B-roll 2. Okay.
It's what you could do for their companies, right? If someone comes up to your company and they're like, I could do X, Y, Z, and they don't execute, you're useless to them. So I'd pretty much I was slaving for nothing. I'd useless to them.
So I'm just gonna cut that out because it's useless.
I was slaving for nothing. I'd go to these companies, be like, you're paying this guy 10, pay me 2. And
I was slaving for nothing is a very, very important emotion. And it's like, because he's talking about himself. Over here is where I'm like, okay, let me go and find these actual B-rolls where it's him working. So Mo working, that's all. His name is Mo, by the way. So Mo working, and I'm just gonna have this as a duration, extend it out.
I was slaving for nothing. I'd go.
So even in the actual edited video, he put Mo working, and the way he the editor put it, it was very good. I love that part a lot.
I was slaving for nothing. I'd go to these companies, be like, you're paying this guy 10, pay me 2, and I'll do the same thing but better, right? And I'd suffer for 3 months.
I would do the same thing but better. I think that can be put into a B-roll, but it has to be very, very well thought of as to how you want to display that. So imagine if we have a certain thing that was developed in the market, okay, and they would do, and we can show into a B-roll that they were doing the same thing but better. So imagine like an upgrade, but that's gonna be something that is pretty hard to display. So I'm just gonna leave it for now, and let's work on the simpler parts just for you to understand the fundamentals rather than spending a lot of time looking for these. But it's just for me to break down my process, okay?
Because I would do better, but they'd be so happy paying that low rate, and I didn't have leverage where I'd get stuck at this 2-3K rate. But those are the experiences that made me learn the most, right? Those are the experiences, that's where I built all the experience, the connections. But those are the experiences that made me learn the most.
Those are the experiences that made me learn the most. I'm just gonna make a cut over here.
Those are the experiences, that's where I built all the experience, the experiences. That's where I built all the experience, the connections, and really my work ethic.
There we go. Here, if you see the actual editor, even he did 3 different B-rolls, and that's something that I would exactly do as well. So let's cover up the footage again. So you can see over here, he did this B-roll. See,
that's where I built all the experience, the connections, and really my work.
And this is amazing. Like he's showing more on the chest, not chest, sorry, which is amazing. I love this B-roll.
The connection.
I love this B-roll as well. Him talking to someone that is pretty well known.
And really my work ethic.
And his work ethic as well. Him like time lapse working. So this 3 B-rolls, it's already self-explanatory. don't need to fill out this part, but you can see how well it was done. This is amazing. All right, what the editor did over here, the B-roll choice, I love them. The color grading on them, I love them, and the way he switched it, I love them. All right, it's not about adding a fucking transition to the B-roll. It's about using the right B-roll, and that's exactly what he did, which is why I love them. All right, and he even made them like connected. You can see.
That's where I built all the experience, the connections.
Yeah, like the experience and the connections, and he did a text switch, which is amazing.
And really my work ethic. See, I was really just like slaving myself for pennies on the dollar, but I gained a ton of knowledge off that.
Yeah. Yeah, over here we do gotta make a cut. And then I want to change up the camera to pan onto him again, because it's a different camera angle now. This camera angle is a bit more shitty. Even it has a different color grading. It's a bit disappointing. That means we would have to match the colors. You can see over here it's more saturated, and over here it's more neutral or natural. So we definitely do have to color grade this if we were actually going to be editing the video.
So yeah, I was really just like slaving myself for pennies on the dollar, but I gained a ton of knowledge off that.
And then over here, I'm thinking to do something like, multiple B-rolls to have like a ton of knowledge.
But I gained a ton of knowledge off that.
Yeah, I could have like an Oppenheimer clip showing like him working on the board or something like that, or students, something towards that feeling, right? So showing knowledge from a movie scene. So the reason why I'm expanding with movie scenes as well is just for me to practically show you how we can use these websites. But yeah, let's start with the first one. All right, with this very first one.
Care what you say, what you show.
What you say and what you show. What I think over here is the B-roll might be a bit too short, so we want to try and expand it out this way, or to have it equally of the same size. All right, let's try to find something. So I'm gonna go to YouTube and let's try to search up for any famous founder, right? Showing idea to founder, someone talking to Elon Musk. Let's see if that, I don't think it's gonna be too easy to get what we are trying to envision, but yeah, you can see over here it's gonna be pretty hard to come up with something where someone's talking to a founder and they're not too known. So what I'm gonna end up doing in this part is I'll go for the actual B-roll of Mo. So this is one of them that we can use potentially. So I'm gonna go and drag this out over here, and then let's put a clip of him talking. So it could be him talking in the airport, it could be him talking on the rooftop, it could be on a lot of things, but I like this perspective a lot.
Got the little setup. It's like,
yeah, I think
5 a.m., 6 a.m. right now. I was like 6, 7 a.m. Tired, jet lagged.
Yeah, I think that's something potentially we can use. So let's see what part would be best from here.
They've been just sitting here, walked, grinded.
You can see over here he's also showing his laptop. Like we could use the same B-roll and show different parts from it. It would feel connected, and I think that's gonna be something that's interesting as well. Let's see how it goes. Alright, so him talking to the camera here, for example.
It's like,
Nice. Now what I'm gonna do is just drag video only. Now that I did the cut, drag video only, and just cut it to our marker, and let's scale this down. I'll just keep it this way.
you say, what you should care, what you say.
I think I'm gonna have a bit of a different part from here. Let's see this.
What you say, what you show.
Yeah, that's better. And I'm gonna duplicate this and pretty much go and show the part where he's showing his laptop. But his laptop is not coming in the perspective, or it is actually. But okay, what I could do is potentially, alright, think about it this way, is just because this is not too fitting, I could potentially have this.
What you show. It's what you could.
No, I don't like that. So I'm just gonna end up using this one. So let's cut this from the starting till over here. I think that's gonna work. I'm just gonna drag video only and boom. So let's see how that goes.
What you say, what you show. It's what you could.
Yeah, I think the first part of it is a bit unstabilized, and we want to try and pick clips that we don't have to stabilize. But when it comes to like a client clip, sometimes you would have to stabilize it because the client is not the best at recording, But initially, this is looking good.
Say what you show. It's what you could do for their.
I don't like the fact that there is like a whole ass person over here, which doesn't make sense too much. So we want to maybe go and find another clip. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another one where he's showing something. By the way, this is only one country. There's like a whole ass another folder, but that's just because the people under my team are doing it. It's not me. Yeah, this makes sense. This one would be better. So him in a luxury van. The only thing I liked about this is this feels connected with this environment. I don't like the fact that this is almost like in another environment.
Yes, you say.
And what we want to do over here is we want to try and color grade this because this is not color graded. So I mean, I do use LUTs. For example, this is one of the LUTs that I have. It's called Amazon Shade.
What you show.
I could paste it over here, but it's not working over here.
What you say, what you show. Say what you show. It's what you could do for the. Say.
Just move this a little bit.
Say what you show. It's what you show.
I could stabilize this by using warp stabilizer. So let me paste that. Okay, warp stabilizer is gonna stabilize this and make it a bit more straight. So let's see how it goes now. Yeah, that's a lot better. and I could reverse this. All right, I could reverse this just so it's going like the opposite way. Reverse speed. Let's see.
What you show, it's what you could.
Warp, stabilizer, and speed cannot be used on the same clip. So we want to remove warp, stabilizer from here. Want to nest this. Boom.
It's what you show.
Or a better thing would be to actually not reverse the speed, okay, but add the warp stabilizer.
Show.
And then nesting this and reversing it. So I'll nest and now I will reverse. That's gonna be much easier on the PC to interpret. So
it's what,
perfect.
What you say, what you show.
You can see how it's like panning, right?
You
That's
say,
exactly what you know,
show.
what we need.
It's what you could do for their companies, right? If someone comes up to your company and they're like, I could do X, Y, Z, and they don't execute, you're useless to them. I was slaving for nothing. I'd go to these companies and be like, you're paying this guy 10? I'd go for nothing.
I was slaving for nothing. I think we can show multiple clips of him working on the same perspective, if that's something that we can potentially find, but we don't have enough of that yet to show it. So we're just gonna show like 5 different clips as snippets. That's gonna be something interesting that we can do. By the way, everything should be organized, so working, so it does not get messy, right? So I just want to pick like a frame from here. I'm on the laptop typing or something. It's gonna be very short, so let me extract that. I'm on the laptop, very short. I'm on the laptop here again, very short. I don't know if this is gonna fit. Let's find a better one, but I want to find a close perspective of him working. Nice. So over here, the idea is I'm just showing snippets. The most important thing is when you show snippets is they should be either simultaneously decreasing in size. So it goes from the first video being 10 frames and the second video being 8 frames and then 6 frames. Or you could just have all of them at the same size. So that way, I just take them all above each other and literally just make them all the same size. By making sure, now the more the better in this situation, by making sure that it fits our b-roll timeline. So you can see over here it does not fit. That means that pretty much we'd have to redo the process and just extract each one of them by a little bit. Now I did over extract, so now I can just cut. The reason I over extracted is I could just cut and boom, there we go. So let's play this.
I was slaving for nothing.
Not bad, not bad. I mean, with sound effects it's gonna be much better. But what I want to do is want to have same type of line on all of them. Let's try to zoom this out a little bit. Or we can't, can we?
I was slaving for nothing.
This one I can zoom in a little bit. Take it a bit above. Show him being on the laptop.
I was slaving for nothing. I was slaving.
I could invert this just for the... So I could invert this as in flip it horizontally. Just for the sake of the switch that's happening. So in this way. But then the shirt would read opposite. Let's see.
I was slaving for nothing.
I don't think it matters too much.
Nothing.
And then I'm just gonna flip this horizontally as well. Definitely does not look better in this situation, in this flip. But it's just for me to show you like flips. But I don't think flips is gonna look good. Let's see.
I was slaving for nothing. I'd go.
Yeah, it's looking good, somewhat.
I was slaving for nothing.
So it shows I was slaving for nothing. Slaving means him working for a long period of time. Over a long period of time. So him working every day a lot for a long period of time. That means we can show multiple clips. I wish there was more. I would definitely cut this down and show like 4 more clips. But yeah, we are, let's say, in a bit of a hurry because I really try to prioritize the time that you guys have. You guys don't have infinite time. For me, I don't mind filming a video for 3 hours. But yeah, what I will do is I want to try to have the same LUTs on all of them. By the way, LUTs are very simple. You can just do them from here. Now these LUT packs I cannot give away, especially the ones that I have, the Amazon Shade one, because it is from a paid pack. But it's very simple. You can just go and increase the contrast, and you can, for example, mess with the highlights, and now boom, it's no more whitewashed. All right, so you can see this, for example, if I paste it here. So I just use a LUT pack because I do have one, and I will try and ask the owner if it is something that I could give away to you guys, and I would definitely do so. I'll definitely consider. But let's just paste all of this. Same LUTs. Over here you can see the contrast is a bit less in this situation. So we want to try and decrease the contrast just so he's more visible, and increase the highlights a little bit. and increase exposure very less.
Slaving for nothing.
And I want to have like consistent kind of look throughout them. You can see this one is too bright. That means that this one needs to be more contrasted with lesser highlights. Now it's giving that darker look. This one needs to be a bit more exposured and more highlights. And then this one, did I even add the geometry on it? No, I did not. So boom, paste it. This is already dark enough. So let's play it.
I was slaving for nothing.
So you can see how all of them is giving that certain look. That is exactly what we want to do.
You're useless to them. I was slaving for nothing.
And then we could like nest all of this, and we could have like a little scale. So from 100 go all the way to the end, not that far. I don't know where it took us. Like even after the clip ends, just add another keyframe and make it 110. So this is gonna be very slight zoom.
I was slaving for nothing.
No, that's too much of a zoom. So I'll make it 105.
I was slaving for nothing.
So that is like causing very less movement. That is almost unnoticeable.
For nothing.
Or it's not even happening actually. It is happening, but it's just so less. Let me just make this 102 and put it in the end. That's gonna do the job.
I was slaving for nothing. I'd go.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You guys can see. There's a very slight
I
zoom.
was slaving for nothing. I'd go to these
That's
companies
cool.
like,
Looking good.
you're paying this guy 10, pay me 2, and I'll do the same thing but better.
Then we can add, you know,
I was slaving for nothing.
things like transitions and whatever, but that's not the objective for today. And let's go towards the end. And here I said show knowledge from movie scene.
But I gained a ton of knowledge off that.
But I don't like adding a random b-roll in the end. Alright? That's just something not within my taste. But b-rolls is all about taste. There is potentially more things we can add. And what I don't like about some of the b-rolls he did over here.
But they'd be so slaving. But they'd be so happy paying that low rate, and I didn't have happy paying that low rate.
This does not make sense because they'd be so happy paying out low rate. But Leonardo da Vinci over here, no, I think it's DiCaprio. Sorry. Leonardo DiCaprio over here is giving away money. So it's kind of going opposite of what's being said. But I think this is the only b-roll that I did not like. And then there was the part where I showed you guys about the connections, which is already seen over here, you can see. But yeah, I use client b-rolls a lot because it's just better for the clients. And I think movies, they're very great if you are editing for generic things, or if your client doesn't have b-roll footage, then you need to make folders for movie scenes. And I'm not saying we don't use movie scenes, we use them a lot, but we definitely use our client footage much more. But yeah, that was pretty much the output, boys.
What you say, what you show, it's what you could do for their company. To them. I was slaving for nothing.
And I think what I even try to do normally is I try to have similar looks for b-rolls across the whole video, just so we can keep that brand. So what I'll do, I'll actually get rid of both of these lots I did over here. Okay, and let me just add the one that I just used, which was specific deep.
Say what you show.
No, but this is definitely does not look the same.
Say what you show.
I think what I'm gonna end up doing here is just make something simple as to contrast it, decrease the shadows a little bit, mess with the highlights, go temperaturize it a little bit, but that's pretty much all.
Say what you say.
And then come up over here, paste this.
Say what you show. It's what you could do for their companies, right? If someone comes up to them, I was slaving for nothing.
But yeah, that was pretty much it for the b-roll video. We did go more than the time that we should have, but I hope you guys understood the process. To be honest, the practical part wasn't very in-depth, but the whole point of this is for me to show you guys the fundamental of how I come up and how I do it. But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. So my export settings are very simple. It's pretty much the default export settings from Premiere Pro, and I'm pretty sure most of the guys that edit on Premiere Pro literally have default settings. It's not rocket science. So all I need to do is go over here, sequence, and pretty much find the render button. Now for me, I always do Ctrl+F, so I literally don't even know where the render goes, which is pretty funny. I'm so used to the shortcuts, I don't know. But anyways, gotta find it and you gotta do it, and then you're gonna be put in this page. Okay, over here, all you gotta do is go and do match source adaptive high bitrate. Okay, and when I'm editing for YouTube or long form, I always do this, which is high quality 2160 4K. And what you want to do is you want to, first things first, go into video, don't need to touch anything. This all is gonna match source, literally, so it's gonna be ticked. and then you want to tick both of these, render at maximum depth and use maximum render quality. This will enhance the quality. Then I use hardware encoding, which is going to be using the GPU. I don't touch anything, and this is just default 19 from Premiere Pro. I keep it at 19 if it's short form, but if it is long form, I go and I do it like 45, which is significantly going to improve file size, but it's also significantly going to improve the video. But if we have a 10-minute video, 45 bitrates is going to end up being 10 GB, 19 bitrates is going to end up being 5 GB, and if we take it down to 5 bitrates, it's going to end up being 1 GB. But clearly, the file or the export settings will go a lot lower, and it's going to become a lot worse. So we had an editor in my team used to do long form renders at 5 bitrate, and I got so pissed at him. I'm like, how is the file 500 MB? I'm just pissed. Like, I'm looking, and I told him send me the project file, and I ended up rendering it at 40 bitrate, and we did a side-by-side comparison, and it was crazy difference. It was crazy difference. So the higher the bitrate, the better. For Instagram, you don't need to do anything above 20 because it just doesn't support it. For YouTube, I think it does support up to 40 bitrates. So why not have it? Why not sacrifice a bit of file size, but come up with, you know, a better quality? But as long as you have these two ticked, you're still pretty decent. Everything else I don't touch, and you want to tick this on. You want to have this on if you're doing captions in Premiere. Otherwise, it's not going to end up rendering the caption, which is pretty funny. But you do want to turn that on. In my situation right now, this video has no captions. But yeah, that was pretty much it for my export settings.